And happy Monday, everybody. More importantly, happy Labor Day as the unofficial summer conclusion is here. But more importantly, it is September 1st, and that means hockey is finally around the corner after a long, hot, and steamy summer of rumors and trades and free agency. We have made it now, folks, into September, and more importantly, as already said, ever so closer to the 2025-26 NHL season getting underway. Welcome in, folks. It is episode 14 of Puck Talk already here on the ETB Network, brought to you by our friends at Playback. She is Jen Kate out in New York. Callum McClurg here in San Diego for the next 2 hours, talking all things NHL and hockey across the board. Jen, always look forward to Mondays when we get ourselves off the ground and running. And more importantly, Jen, we were just talking, though, behind or backstage, though, in the preview room. Literally every single NHL team has put out in some way, shape, form, or size. We play hockey this month, and we do have hockey this month, both in real life and also in the make-believe worlds of fantasy as well later on. But Jen, good to see you. Happy Labor Day. How's it going today? Welcome back. Good to see you.
It's going good. I cannot believe it's been 14 episodes already, Callum. I swear we've said this every week since week 10. Like, it's crazy that we've made it this far from a little Instagram live show that was just meant to be shits and giggles to 14 episodes later. How the heck do we end up here every week?
I don't know. And I'm glad that the contract gets renewed every week after we sign off, that we said, okay, you're clear for next week. You can go for next week. You're good for next week. So that's always good. We do, though, folks, have a very cool announcement. We will have my press row co-host, Nick Morgeson, joining us in the next hour at around 4 o'clock Pacific time, 7 o'clock Eastern, as we'll have some discussion about the business side of the hockey world, as the Sharks did announce a major story of them finally, at long last, I believe, Jen, long overdue of them finally refurbishing and renovating the SAP Center in San Jose, signing a brand new 25-year lease. So Nick will be on to join us and talk about that in the next hour of the show. But also, Jen, more importantly, fantasy hockey is also here, and we have a very cool announcement coming too about that, with us needing one more member to join our Puck Talk Fantasy League on ESPN.com. I'm excited.
Yeah, we are hosting a draft. Date and time are still TBD. It's most likely going to be on a Monday. What in the slot Puck Talk would have been in for the week. So it'll be like Puck Talks here, but we're not actually doing a full 2-hour show, which is really nice if you ask me. Sorry, Nick, I love you, but very excited for that.
Yes.
More updates will come probably in the next week or two once we kind of pan out, I guess, situation that we're handling, because we're still waiting on something that very exciting. We keep teasing. I promise it's gonna happen eventually. We don't know when yet. We're just as excited as you guys are for that, but it is happening. Shout out to all our friends who did join our league and who are still joining the league.
You know who you are.
Yeah, we won't say your name, but we know who you are. Yeah, we look forward to that. We're gonna have a lot of new faces joining us here on Puck Talk. We're getting into some meetings this week because we're getting hopefully some back end help, which is be really nice. Take some off my plate, because considering I'm going back to school starting tomorrow. And no, I don't mean school as in I'm going to class. I mean I work for a school. But that's all I'll say about that. Callan, you and I have another busy. I swear to God, I say it every week. It's not going to be that busy. It's dumbing down. No, it's not. Not even in this much of a slightest saying of that. But you and I have a lot to go over. We're following a lot of new breaking stories, a lot of contract talks, a lot of trade rumors still flying, which is wild considering probably been one of the less exciting off-season trade modes that we've seen. But there is a lot to talk about. I kind of want to preview this first topic because we were supposed to start this a little differently and we had to kind of move things around at the last second, which is fine. That happens. That's part of showbiz. But Callan, you and I were talking a little bit off camera. We were kind of saying to each other about Team USA's jersey and how they finally, announced their jersey, and it's honestly so sick. We're gonna show it to you guys. I'm gonna bring it up on screen in just a second. But there's a lot of hype around the Olympics coming next year, and there's so much going on, and we cannot confirm a date yet, but I can confirm a little sneak peek of something that is coming. Christian will be joining us once a month, other than the month of October as he is away. as a once-a-month guest to follow up on all the hockey stories, all the news, all the latest. So we are very excited. So thank you, Christian, for that. We appreciate you wanting to come back and joining us because we loved having you, and the clips did really well.
Yeah, so again, so much, folks. And by the way, I'll also say this too. But Jen and I are going to be having a brand new format for this program when the regular season does start. We won't do it for the preseason because we have a lot of things that we are working on in regards to us doing a top 16 every Monday after the after the week concludes. We'll have fantasy updates with our league. We will be again having the draft live on the air. We've got other topics and other segments we're working on top of keeping some of our intangibles of the Sending segment, which is coming back today. We're also going to be keeping our PWHL segment. We're also going to be keeping the Growing the Game segment and so many other things. But we will be having a bit of a new format as the regular season does begin in October. We're not going to debut in the preseason because so many games are going on at different times in different places. So we're going to save all that for October 6th or 5th when we have our first preview show for the season in a few weeks, and for that matter next month, as we in fact do start in September. But again, be on the lookout though too as well for some content about our fantasy hockey league. We'll also be updating everyone too via some graphics about matchups, the standings. I'll be working on all that as well today and throughout the course of the week to have all those templates ready to go. We'll be having some other content as well. Again, the draft will be streamed live, much like it was with the NFL draft for the ETB hosts. Fantasy League will be having that as well for our draft here on Playback. And of course, we'll have plenty of more guests coming up that Jen's working on, I'm working on, and plenty of things as well that are going on. So we look forward to all that as we get closer to the season starting very, very soon.
And Kellen, you and I will also be trying to follow some of the prospect tournament and the rookie tournament that will be happening this month. So check back for updates. Also check our social medias because sometimes we don't always get to say stuff on the show. Because again, if it doesn't happen before Monday, we don't get to talk about it to the following Monday.
Yeah.
So Puck Talk ETV, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok is where all those updates will be posted. I promise you, I am very active on the social media pages. We have been putting out tons of videos. Like I did a fun little video right before this of doing a little King of the Ring NHL style short
little
video.
bracket challenge. Who do you want to pick?
Yeah, so who's
better than who?
There because that's where all our updated content will be.
Yeah, and I'll try to do some content while for those who don't know, I work in the American Hockey League. I have, and this will be can't believe I'm saying it's 10th year already. I'm going to try to do some kind of cool behind the scenes content for the show from my job site. I'm the in-arena announcer for the Anaheim Ducks affiliate here in San Diego. So going to try to do a little bit like a behind the scenes kind of in a way of a typical day for me on top of some other things with the NHL, some PWHL content. We'll have more about that as we said. But again, we are looking forward though to having a brand new format. So you'll be I think Jen and I both agree that everyone will enjoy that new format when we do in fact debut it soon. All right, Jen, as we said, again, we'll have Nick Morgeson, my tag team partner on Press Row, which, by the way, will be on air on Wednesday. We have a very packed show on Wednesday for that. I don't know how I'm going to survive going to a baseball game and then doing that program, but it is what it is. Either way, though, Jen, as you said, though, leaked images of the new Team USA Olympic hockey jerseys for next year's games in Italy have been revealed, and they've been met with overwhelming praise from fans. The design marks a very much conscious return to a more classic and traditional look for Team USA, moving away from some of the more elaborate or abstract designs of past Olympic games or tournaments. The jerseys now feature a simpler color palette and scheme and a clean, bold crest, reminiscent of the iconic 1980 Miracle on Ice era uniforms. As Jen pulls up the video or the photo here, I should say.
I should have had this ready, and I did not have it ready.
But more importantly, again, the minimalist approach is seen as a way to honor the country's rich history of hockey while also projecting a new, clean, and powerful image as well for Team USA, which, Jen, I recall, though, in the 2018 Olympic Games in South Korea, I believe, when Team USA's women won the gold over Canada. But it was so weird, Jen, how every nation that played, they did not have any kind of really cool branding. And I think the ruling was at the time that you could not actually have the your country's hockey team logo on the uniform. And just as an example, this is my Hillary Knight jersey from the 2018 games in Pyeongchang, South Korea. And notice how it's only just like a very simple USA on the front. There's no USA logo other than just the Federation shield. But as we had seen, though, probably, Jen, in the Four Nations face-off or in other tournaments, we actually see Team USA further in perspective. You would probably see this logo being on the front of the USA jersey, not the abstract word mark. So I think, Jen, more importantly, it's critical that all the nations get to have their own individual branding and not just using the same template and just changing the name and the color palette to match the nation's flag and the hockey club's color palette. What do you think?
I agree. Yeah, I'm trying to get the photo. I for some reason did not have it, so I'm doing that now. So don't mind me. There it is.
Again, I just think for me, it's like it's kind of feels like long overdue that not everybody looks the same. I say this a lot, actually, Jen, and I know that it's probably not a good idea to mix sports on this platform, but I will. But I look at example like the WNBA and Major League Soccer. Every club or team may have their own style of branding on their jersey with their name and stuff, but not often though, as there's the actual logo from or the actual jersey. Very much so, Jen. This looks like it's from, not just the '80s era, but the 1960s Squaw Valley, California era Olympic team that also won gold before the Miracle on Ice happened. There's a better look of it right there with the USA and the Nike swoosh, and of course the USA hockey shield on the right above the player's heart area. I'm sure that will be an area for the captain's letters. But Jen, do you like the mashup or the like the new way now that Team USA kind of honors that 1960s era, and then of course the Miracle on Ice team here now in 2025 with these new uniforms for next year's games in Italy?
Yeah, I love. I first off, I think this jersey is absolutely sick. I love the color palette. I love that it's keeping it very simple with the red, white, and blue with the USA written across it. I love that the Ranger, like again, it's almost like my Rangers, how they go very classic and very traditional. These
Yes.
jerseys are very much that. Yeah, they're new edition. They're brand new. I like the stripes, the red and white stripe on the arm. I really like the little patch over the heart, as you were saying. I wish I could get a better look at it. Maybe I can zoom in quickly.
I mean,
But
either way,
closest I
this
can
is
get is that. So, but yeah, that patch is sick. I love it. It kind of almost in a weird way reminds me of a soccer jersey a little bit.
yes.
But I love the color palette. I love the gloves that go with it. I don't know if they're all going to wear the gloves like that, but Eichel always has good fashion sense. So I love that he has the matching gloves. Um, but the jersey itself is just there's not too much going on. There's not enough going on. It's the right amount of perfect. It's again the USA color scheme is red, white, and blue. Obviously, the color of the American flag. So I love everything about this. I don't think there's anything not to like about it. I think it's classic, simple, clean, and to the point.
And that's all you can ask for, especially, Jen, for the Olympics. That, like I said, this is a massive upgrade than what Team USA wore in the 2018 Olympics in South Korea, where again it's just the very basic, standard USA across the front. But again, every team though, Jen, looked like clones because everybody in some way had that similar style of the font with just Canada across the front or Finland or Sweden. It wasn't like this where you have the USA letters on the front, or when Canada had the maple leaf during the Four Nations face-off, or the three crowns for Sweden, or Finland having the lion's head on the front of it. So job well done with that right there for Team USA, going back to
And here's another look at like a little bit more of a side angle. This is Quinn Hughes modeling this one. So ignore his face. He doesn't smile for photos. So
I mean, the whole thing is perfect. Again, blue
I
jersey.
I like how I think he has a number on his shoulder. At least it looks that way.
Numbers on the shoulders. The very clean, traditional white, red, white stripes across the elbows and the bottom of the jersey. The navy blue gloves go well with it, and that's what they always wear, whether they're wearing white or blue jerseys. The blue pants. Jen, can you zoom out so we can see what the are they wearing? Is he wearing navy blue socks? I'm guessing with the same style striping for the socks.
You can't really tell at this angle.
How about the Jack Eichel photo? It looks like it is. Yeah, it looks like it's blue with the same striping. So this is classic. This is so
Again,
classic. Yeah,
well, shout
so
out to Word
classic
on
Team
today
USA
posted this,
though.
so this is not my doing because there's words over it, but it does look like there's a little bit of blue and some white, maybe a little bit of red.
Yeah, so they probably have the same striping as the jersey itself. So either way, Jen, grand slam. I'm gonna probably get one.
That's a W. That's a W logo. Love that. I want one, but they're going to be probably $9 million in the NHL store. So,
I mean, baseball jerseys are like $225 now. It's
dude,
depressing.
hockey jerseys for like custom ones are like $300-$400. Just
Well,
insane.
what I do is I don't get the authentic. I get like the Fanatics knockoff, and those are like $100 cheaper. Then I go and take it to a seamstress who does sports embroidery and put my name on the back. Jen, going from uniforms to all things national television, the NHL TV schedule came out for national TV. ESPN will air over 100 games, and Sportsnet in Canada will air 137 games. The Rangers and the Avalanche lead the league with 17 and 16 games, respectively. However, though, the teams like the Anaheim Ducks only have 5, and teams like the Sharks only get 6. This disparity perhaps highlights the league's focus on showcasing marquee clubs from major markets like the Denver market or even the New York area with high-profile stars. Even further, your boy, my favorite, and one of my favorite Rangers of all time too, Mark Messier, further announced that ESPN's Frozen Fury would debut on October 28th, the one night of the year where all 32 clubs are in action. And again, spaced out game times from 7 o'clock Eastern through the evening. So, Jen, again, the Rangers get national TV time 16 times this season. While Anaheim gets 5, the Sharks get 6. Other teams have, I mean, there's some teams who don't have any games on national TV. So, Jen, the first part of the question is simple. And this, I think, though, goes with any sport. What does the disparity in national TV games say about how broadcasters in the league right now view different franchises in your mind?
I mean, I'm going to be a little biased here because, again, I'm a Rangers fan, so my apologies to any who don't like them. Tough. Deal with it. I love that the Rangers are finally getting their national airtime. Do I think they'll win any of those games? No. Let's make that very clear. But I hate that the teams like the Sharks, the Ducks, the Canadians, even Montreal, are not getting as much airtime. Like I'm biased toward the Rangers because I'm a Rangers fan, but these teams are going to be so much fun to watch with all their young talent. I don't understand why they're not being giving a shot. So I definitely think the NHL kind of dropped the ball on that one a little bit. But I mean, again, I understand why you're going with the major teams again, like the Rangers, probably the Islanders, Colorado, like the big markets, because that's where your money is.
Yes.
Your money is your big name. Again, this goes back to like baseball, like the Yankees, the Mets,
Dodgers,
the Phillies,
Cubs,
the Cubs, all the big name markets, because again, they're the big name markets. Everybody knows them. They're household names. Everybody loves them. The logo, everyone recognizes the logos immediately when you see them, because again, it's what it is. It's the major market teams. And I hate to say like your team's a small market team, the Ducks, because they're not. I will be the first one to defend that. They are definitely not a small market team. I actually really like your team this year, and I'll tell you like 100 times I'm blue in the face.
Yeah.
I don't think 5 games is fair. I think they should have a lot more, considering they have a ton of talent this year. I really think you guys are going to be a really good team this year. So I'm shocked, but again, I'm not surprised the Rangers are getting airtime. Again, original 6.
Yeah.
Again, their 100th anniversary. It's, I understand it, because again, there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to the Rangers. Again, you've seen me do short videos. You've seen me talk about it on the show with all the changes that were made this offseason. I understand it. Do I think that still makes the team good? No. Not. Let's not confuse that. Just because the teams you think you're going to be good? No.
Yeah. Jen, I don't think it's. Now, this might be like a weird contradiction to what I usually say about that every team deserves airtime, and rightfully so. I think there's literally teams who I don't think have any games on national TV. I know that when I was going through, again, kind of comparing apples to oranges, when I was running through the NBC and Peacock and Prime Video slate for the NBA, I think everybody had at least one game on national TV in some way, shape, form, or size. However, though, I don't think, though, Jen, that maybe my thoughts about exposure for markets is as is I think as frustrating with sports like basketball and hockey as it would be for baseball, because both those leagues have salary caps, and you can't obviously. I mean, yes, have we seen super teams though in the NHL for sure that have won, like Florida's won back to back, but that I think that there's a bit of a difference though when it comes to airing national TV for the NHL and even basketball more than there is right now with Major League Baseball, where again you can put the Dodgers on 7 days a week and people will watch, as opposed to, well, the Padres will be on, for a couple games and no one will bat an eye at it. But I do think though but but what I would say though is that it is though I think, Jen, unfair that not everybody gets a piece of the pie. Again, literally when I hear not every team in the league is getting any games on national TV, that does feel like a little bit of disservice though, that it's in a way to my argument, well, this is your team, you don't matter to us. And that includes Sportsnet, ESPN, ESPN Plus, DTC. That includes, any other, TNT or TBS or any other national partner. Now, again, I don't know if TNT has released their schedule yet. So I think hopefully that could at least be like a good backup plan for teams who don't have games. But I don't know though but I personally think I'm as frustrated by national TV for basketball or hockey, because those leagues though have salary caps where you don't always put that team that spends all the money in free agency on any given day of the week though. And Jen, I think part two of his question is how much of a factor, I think you probably already answered this though, how much of a factor though is market size versus on-ice performance when making schedules like this for national TV, where again, like you kind of said though, yeah, my team's on 16 times, but are they going to be that good for all 16 games? Probably not.
Exactly. Yeah. I really think your Ducks are going to go far this year. I'll say that I'll be the first one to defend that. But again, it doesn't matter about what your team looks like. Like, no offense, but look at Carolina, and we've talked about this, you and I.
Yeah.
Just because you're a wagon team during the regular season does not equate to a good playoff run, because every year they've been knocked out in round one. Again, it's the Ducks, the Rangers, the Islanders, the
Montreal, Philadelphia,
except for maybe Washington or who had made it there and then got knocked out again. I really I told this to Christian. I said it to Daniel. I'll say it again. It's a curse of the President's Trophy.
Yes,
you don't want that trophy.
We will take that. We will take that. We will take that to our graves.
And then followed right up by the Washington Capitals, right behind them, who got it, and they got knocked out.
I think it's been 15 years since the President's Trophy winner actually won the Stanley Cup. And I think that was Chicago in 2010. Memory serves me correct.
That's crazy.
And then I know. And then, Jen, more importantly, thoughts on Frozen Fury. I love when they do it. I wish they would do it more than just one night, especially when it's so early in the year. Like, come on now. You're missing. That is one part, though, I think that we all could agree here. You, me, guest of ours, hockey fans out there. That is one thing, though, that the NHL does, I think, struggle with a little bit, is having a marquee event like Frozen Fury happen 3 weeks into the regular season where every team plays on a given night. That needs to be more than just one time a year.
I absolutely love this, and I love that Mark Messier was the one to announce it. I've met him at events, so I get to see him at games. First off, can I just say I know this is off tilter just a little bit from where we're at, but I love what the Rangers have done to get their alumni back involved in all their games and stuff.
Huge.
They're handing out awards. They're coming to events. The Rangers do a thing called FanFest outside of the Garden. I've gone every year. All the alumni there, they're doing free meet and greets. They're hanging out with fans. They're bringing their families to games. I love that because actually, funny enough, Ron Greshner, if you know old-time Rangers, Kellen,
yes,
I know his son. His son Ashton was friendly with my now ex-partner, and we got to hang out at a playoff game together. So it's a small world how that happens, but I know I'm off topic there, so let me get back on track. I love this. I love that all 32 teams are going to be action in one night. I think TNT and NHL Network and all,
ESPN.
The big name, media people like Jackie Redmond, Mark Messier, PK Subban, Henrik Lundqvist, Paul Bisnet, everybody, all the big name people that are working for the NHL will be covering these games because every team is playing. So you have to have more than one team doing every game. So you're going to see every big name person that works for the NHL probably involved in some way, shape, or form, whether it be the PA guys, whether it be in-game hosts, whether it be the people like the between like the periods, like Henrik
Yeah,
Lundqvist on the
everybody.
TNT panel. Everybody's going to be involved. I think it's great. I think this is the NHL's big money time because every team is going to be playing. Every arena is going to be packed. Whether a good game, bad game, or indifferent, the fans are loyal to their team and they're going to show up and show out. So I'm excited to see how this plays out. I wish you and I could watch games on here. Come on, playback. We're waiting.
I would do Frozen Fury every day of the week if we could on playback, without a doubt,
Exactly.
1,000%. All right, Jen, here it comes. You knew it was coming eventually, but it's the first public commentary of Connor McDavid about the ongoing speculation about the longtime Oilers forward about his future with the franchise. At Team Canada's Olympic orientation camp, Connor McDavid addressed the ongoing speculation, as already stated, about his future with the Edmonton Oilers. Despite the contract talks being on hold, McDavid, though, was emphatic, stating, quote, "I have every intention to win in Edmonton. That's my only focus," open and close quote. He has just 1 year left on his current contract, and his comments are a strong signal of his commitment to the organization, which hopefully helps in some way to quell some of the ongoing rumors that have been circulating about him potentially exploring other options, though the issue will remain a consistent topic of discussion until a new deal is signed. So, Jen, Connor's statement is a positive one for right now for Edmonton. Jen, do you believe that his words are genuine, or is he simply trying to quiet the noise? And what are the implications for the Oilers if a deal is not finalized before the year begins? I look at it this way. And Jen, you and I will beat this dead horse too. Anytime the Oilers lose, we'll be on here that Monday and saying, all right, where's McDavid going to go? I guarantee you that, with every loss this season, we're building in a Connor McDavid watch segment, it feels like, whenever they lose a game. So back to the point, though, Jen. What do you believe? What do you believe with part one? Believe his words are a genuine commitment, or is he simply trying to quiet down the noise as this new year does begin?
You know what? I have a hot take for you, and I don't care if people come at me for this because I'm gonna have Nick flip this. Just even if it doesn't make our, I'm gonna put it on the network page. I don't care. So Nick, get ready for content because I have a hot take coming for you. I think a contract's already signed. I think a deal is in works. I think it's done already. I think he's just quieting the noise till the season starts for news to eventually leak on its own. He's not going to leak it because he's not worried about it. He knows he's getting a big, huge contract and he's getting a ton of freaking money. So it doesn't matter to him where he goes because regardless, no matter what, if he stays with Edmonton or not, I believe he does stay with Edmonton. Though, let's make that very, very clear. I'm just saying in like a general sense.
Yes.
No matter where that man goes, he's getting at least an 8-year contract at the least, and I think over $100 million a day. I think he's going to be the highest paid player ever in history, and I stand by that. But I truly believe that him and Edmonton have a deal in place. It's not fully done yet, but I have a feeling there's a lot of stipulations going into it. I guarantee there's no move clause involved. He has to put in obviously for that if he does choose to waive it at some point, he does have to put in a 15 or 16 team list that he'd like to go to. I guarantee that's a problem. I guarantee it's all the little things. I guarantee he wants a bunch of bonuses. He wants sign-on bonus. He wants if they make the playoffs, I think he gets extra money for that. So I think if he makes he already made Team Canada's roster, so I don't know how the pay for that works. I think they get a small bump for that. I don't think it's
I think they get a small little incentive for it, I believe, yes.
So I think all those things are what the holding factor is right now. I don't think it's him not wanting to be in Edmonton. I think it's the fact that he is asking for a pretty long extension, and he wants a ton of money. I guarantee he has a no move clause. I guarantee there's all these stipulations that he wants to put in place, and that's why he's saying, "Oh, me and my agent are talking." Sure you are. You're telling your agent this is exactly what you want. Make it happen. That's exactly what you're doing. Don't tell me it's otherwise because you're one of the best players in the league. Why wouldn't you want that? Literally, it's so simple, but yet fans are going to ride on, as you said, we're going to ride on all season until something breaks.
Oh, yeah.
I think I agree with Christian from last week. I think Christensen, it's closer than it seems. I really do believe that. Absolutely. I 100% buy that.
Not so fast, my friend. A little Lee Corso tribute. I think you are, though, Jen, onto a great point. I think he signs over the offseason because let's remember the new CBA kicks in and the salary cap is going to expand next season.
I forgot about that. That is a great point.
More importantly, Jen, Edmonton just gave his line mate Leon Draisaitl a new contract, I believe, last season. Why would McDavid want to go anywhere else and break up that duo? That probably, I think, Jen, this will be the hottest take of hottest of hot takes. This could be the best duo we see, in my opinion, not named Lemieux and Yager all those years in Pittsburgh in the 90s. Or even Crosby Malkin currently in Pittsburgh. I mean, there's been so many dynamic duos. You sent this in Slack today. Today marks the anniversary of the Ducks signing Paul Kariya to his first ever contract. Solani and Kariya are what made the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim be what they were in the 90s, 97. And then obviously when Timu left, though, but Paul got the club to the Cup final in 2003. So I think, though, more importantly, I think McDavid will sign in Edmonton. They're going to wait, though, until the new CBA kicks in and the cap grows. So I think once it grows, now you can start giving players more money, than what you can right now. I think we're hearing, at least I've been hearing, Minnesota might make Kirill Kaprizov an $18 million a year player. That means McDavid's going to be getting 20 or 22 or 25 million come next season at this rate. So I do think that you're onto a great point, though, Jen, that the contract may already be signed and that they're just waiting for the right day to announce it. I think they're going to wait until the first day of the new CBA kicking in, and then when the window opens to sign contracts, bada bing, bada boom, it's signed.
That's an interesting point. I didn't even think about when talking about that, but again, I really think there is a contract, at least somewhat of a deal in place. I don't know if the
framework. Yeah, the framework's already in place for sure.
Again, I guarantee the big thing is going to be all the bonuses, the incentives, the no trade clause, the no move clause, the 16-team possible trade list if he does ever choose to waive it. I think that's what the big issue is because, again, I've talked to my dad about this because, again, I grew up in a hockey house. So this is like a normal everyday conversation. I hate the whole new no move clause because if you sign a bad contract and that player turns out to not be what they are expected to be, it's a wash. You're stuck with them. I hate the no move clause. I know that's a hot take. I know for some players it's a good thing you lock them in a place like McDavid or Draisaitl or Sidney Crosby and all the big. I get it. Like that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you do a bad signing and that player gets hurt or whatever, and they're not even playing, you're paying them all this money, you wasted your time essentially. I know it's a hot take. I know people are gonna come for me in the comments if we clip this. Fight me. I will. That's a hill I'm willing to die on.
Yeah, I mean, because you don't want to get burned by having kind of like a abscess tooth, basically, of having like a very bad contract just on the books, and then there's no way to move them if Team A is on the no move list or Team X, Y, and Z. So, I mean, I probably get that part for sure. But again, we'll see how this whole thing with Connor McDavid plays out, folks, as the whole year does going. Because I think, as I said, anytime the Oilers lose, we'll be coming on here and saying, okay, where do you think he's going to go? Simple as that. Jen, moving away from all things involving Connor McDavid for right now, EA Sports is set to release its player ratings for the upcoming NHL 26 video game, set to be released officially on September the 12th. The ratings, which often spark heated debate and banter among fans and players, provide a very much early glimpse into how the league's top players and talent is perceived. So, Jen, in your mind, how much attention do you think, though, that player ratings probably get? And are they a big driver in your mind of fan engagement, especially over the offseason, like right here and right now?
Absolutely. I think the fans, I think a lot of us hockey content creators for the NHL as a whole, we talk a ton about them. Obviously, if you follow, again, we'll keep giving them shout outs because they're amazing. The amazing people behind Bar Down, they are incredible. We've had a couple of them on our show. They're amazing. We love them. They post a lot about the player ratings. They do a lot of NHL gameplay where they talk about the ratings and what it means. and they also put themselves up. Barden has a beer league that they do, and they go against some of the higher rated players, and they come on and they do like skills challenges and all that. So I was just watching some before, so um, but actually I have a few of them for us to look at. Some will
All
have one.
right.
So I have a couple. Hold on, let me find the right ones. 1 second. Oh, that is a later topic. All right, so here's the first one. Matthew Chuck, a 93. He's a left winger. I think this is pretty fair overall. I think. Oh wait, hold on. I'm not showing it because I forgot to open Studio. Pardon me a moment, people. I was talking, and nobody can see what I'm talking about.
So I went to EA Sports' website, and they have McDavid as the #1 overall player.
Yeah,
right
so
now.
Here's Matthew Chuck's card. Obviously, he's a 93 right now. I think that's fair for him. I think he's coming off again 2 back-to-back Stanley Cups. He's been one of their big leaders on the team. Again, they signed Brad Marchand late during the trade deadline. So I think this is a fair number. Callum, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's pretty fair. I know he's not going to be playing for the first part of the year because of the sports hernia surgery and the ripped hip ligament he's got. So I'm not really surprised. Again, back-to-back Cup champ. All he's done since going from Calgary to Florida has just been put that club on the map and on his back. So I'll go with the 93.
All right, then we have Macklin Celebrini.
Interesting.
88. I think it's a little high considering we haven't seen his full potential yet. Considering he's still pretty much a rookie in my mind, and he's only been with 1 or 2 years in the league now. What is this?
Yeah,
Second
yeah. No, that was just his first year. Had a great year, but overshadowed by Lane Hudson for the Calder Trophy vote. Missed a lot of time with injury too early in the season. 88 might be a little bit high, but I think that they're looking at future potential for the season or down the line. But I mean, we have plenty about the Sharks coming up in the next segment, and when Nick Morgeson joins us too. So I think 88's a little high, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
And here's his brother. There's Brady Tkachuk, the other Tkachuk brother, 89. Now, for some of you hockey fans, I'm going to go ahead and kind of do a little bit of a reach here. But if you have seen the Bardan video of the Chuck brothers versus Luca, Jesse, and I think DZ is the host of it, and they start doing where they put the when they're fighting and they put the jersey over the other guy's head. Their father, Keith Tkachuk, literally pulled out his phone and started recording and thought it was the funniest thing on the planet.
Oh my goodness.
But he said Matthew's a better player overall, has softer hands, so I think this lower rating actually does make pretty valid sense.
Yeah, I mean, along with the fact though, Brady is on a Senators team, I think they're getting close. I mean, with him, Tim Stützle, so many, I think they've got promise, but I think they're just kind of getting stuck in the mud though in that division. Obviously, Brady and, Brady's had his moments though. I think 89 though is probably fair, who I think for a guy I think he's going to be getting better though as the next couple years go on, without a doubt.
All right, here's one of the Rangers overall ratings. That's Artemi Panarin. He has a 92 rating. You know what? I'm biased, but not that biased, obviously. I think this is complete bullshit. I'm not going to sugarcoat the crap out of this because honestly, that's just a bunch of bullcrap. Guy's not a 92. Guy's washed. Yeah, he's a regular season machine, but when it comes to playoffs, this guy absolutely just falls short. He hasn't been the same since he's been on the Blackhawks with Patrick Kane. Those were his best years. I think his best years are absolutely behind him, and I cannot wait for this man to be off my team. Yeah, in the comments, fight me. I don't care.
I was going to say, I thought his best days were in Columbus before he went to the Rangers.
Oh, sorry, Columbus. That's
I think Columbus.
Bullshit. This is disgusting. No, I hate all of this. I hate everything about it.
I think his best days were in Columbus. I mean, he was like a flash in the pan when he first went to the Rangers, but I think as he's gotten older and as the team has kind of gotten older, they're in a world of hurt.
I have a couple of more here for you. This is Vincent Trocheck, again, another Ranger. I think 88 is actually completely fair. I think he's been an absolute stud since he's got here. He's been absolutely just filling in wherever he needs to be. He's solid. He doesn't really make too many mistakes. He's a good. He sets up plays really nicely. He works really well with JT Miller, who was a last minute addition, who I think is end up going to be captain. Unfortunately, I don't like that we're going to even get a captain this year because you saw what happened with Jacob Trouba. I stand my case. But I think 88 is actually pretty fair for him, considering he knows he's getting older. He knows he's got to work harder and work out more and do all the things to keep up with the young kids that are going to be on this team. But I think 88 is actually a very, very fair rating.
I might go like 89 for power play points. I know that the power play for them was not as good as in years past, but I think the year prior, it felt almost automatic, Jim, that they were going to be cashing in power plays. I know that Fox had that Norris Trophy winning year, but it felt like whenever that New York got a power play opportunity, they took advantage of it. And this year they took for me, it felt like they took a step back though. But I think that Trocheck that Vince though was a very key reason why their power play had such good success a couple years ago. So I think I might go 89 just for the fact of power play efficiency.
Yeah, I could obviously call on that because again, going to games, being there, seeing it in person. I think what happened was truly, and I don't care if I get called out for this. This is my personal opinion. I think when Adam Fox got hurt and then they traded away his partner in Ryan Lindgren,
and that kind of killed the whole power play unit.
Those two were that like dynamic duo. They loved working together. They're very close friends. They spent like I think 2 or 3 seasons side by side on the ice every night. So I think that's unfortunately Fox was dealing with a really bad injury, which he's recovering from. He's doing well. So I'm looking forward to seeing it this season. And speaking of Fox, I believe his rating is coming up next. Yes, it is. 90 overall. I think this is obviously very fair considering he had a kind of a rough back half of the season with injuries and losing his partner in crime next to him and having to kind of bounce from teammate to teammate being on his line. So I think he had to kind of adjust on the fly, and he was also dealing with coming back from an injury on a Rangers team that was just lacking excitement at certain stages in the latter half of the season. So I think 9, you know what, for as much potential as he's had and how much work he's put in and how he's adjusting to all the changes, I think this is a very fair rating.
I think it's fair too. I think that he would have to be his 2023-24 self to get back in the running for the Norris Trophy. Because right now, I think, Jim, we can all agree, Cale Makar's got that award on lockdown right now for the best defenseman in the game. At this rate.
I agree. I think he obviously he's won Norris a couple times. So again, I think 90 is very fair considering he dealt with a bad injury the latter half of the season. He didn't have a stable defense partner for most of the back half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, more importantly, Jen, when Jen, more importantly, when that happens, when you've been building cohesion and chemistry with a player, like for example, Foxy and Lindgren, and then someone is either out or your partner is out or they're traded or whatever the circumstances are. Now you've got to kind of in a way like relearn to ride the bike again with a brand new teammate, and that was what I think that. From my perspective, that's what I think Anaheim got right last season was they had young D-men like Olin Zellweger, Jackson Lacombe, for example, but they did it, though, where they paired them with a Radko Gudas or when they had Brian Dumoulin, or they would pair them with when Jacob Trouba came from the Rangers, they made it a point of emphasis to put one of the young kids on one of the wing or on either the left or right side and pair them with one of the veterans, when Cam Fowler was still here before he got traded to St. Louis. They made that a very good point of emphasis, though. But when it's like established guys, though, like Fox and Lindgren for a long time, and then, as you said, Lindgren gets traded away, now Fox is to kind of, in a way, relearn to ride that bike again, playing with a brand new player, and especially if he's playing with, a young kid or a rookie or a first-time, veteran, first-time player, that can be a little bit of, there's a bit of a learning curve there, but also when you're battling injury, too, on top of the year not being the best, that kind of, in a way, stays up here, too.
Absolutely. All right, we have to do it. I'm starting because you know what? This is such a fair rating. Like, it's beyond, like, yeah, I get the bullshit going on with all the calling out of his contract being too much. He's not worth that kind of money. Then again, You said the same damn thing about Lundqvist all those years ago, and look how he turned out.
Damn
So you
Hall of
know what?
Famer.
I don't want to hear shit. I'm not the biggest fan of his contract. I do think it's a little long, and I think the money's slightly over what it should have been. But do I think this is a really bad pickup for the Rangers? Absolutely not.
No.
92 fair. Do you know how many goddamn games I've gone to where he has done nothing but stand on his head every night? Well, the defense, I don't know what the hell they were doing. They were eating Swiss cheese somewhere because that's literally what they were acting like. Where was his defense? Literally nowhere to be found. You can't blame the goalie for that. The goalie can only do
not at
so
all.
much. That's why you have a defensive pair, two defensive pairs in front of him. Where are all four of those players when they're needed?
Yeah, I mean, I know the contract's a little rough on the edges when it comes to Shesterkin, but I mean, he's going to be the guy. I mean, outside of him, I don't know if there's much right now in the pipeline in Hartford or in the East Coast League coming up through the ranks yet. So, I mean, yeah, you can hate the contract all you want, but you're going to have to sadly, kind of take one for the team here. And I think his rating's fine. I mean, I think though that. I think that he's going to be primed for a really good bounce back year. We'll see what happens, but I think 92 though for a goalie in that division, fair game for me if you ask me.
Callan, just check chat. That means he's good to go. We're gonna get back to him in just a second here.
We will do that, yes.
But I have one more rating for you, and then we're gonna move on. We can always come back to this at a later time because there's gonna be more dropping, obviously. JT Miller, 89. First thoughts when I saw this was a little high, considering he was a little bit of a troublemaker from what I know when he was with his other team. I can't remember who he's with. Vancouver, correct. Apparently he had a really bad attitude problem, and he was just not having fun over there. He was having fights with teammates and getting into it with coaches, but he came here with the Rangers and almost like, obviously this is a second stint here for those of you who don't know that. This is the second time around the block with the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
He all of a sudden fit in like that. He found his friend in Vincent Trocheck, who he was roommates with in college when they played together. They played in the juniors together. When he first came here, he was living with the Trochecks, him and his wife. So he's back with the Rangers. He's clicking on all cylinders. He's scoring goals. He's standing up for teammates. I think 89 is actually a little bit overdone, but honestly, it's fair considering that as you're saying, this is a lot. It has to do with potential, and I think this is Miller's second chance to really show that he belongs here in New York and that he has a secure spot for the time being.
Christie's right. He found a spot or a home with the Rangers. By the way, Jen, per Puckpedia, JT Miller's got $8 million of AAV all the way till the 2030 season when he becomes a UFA.
Jesus Christ. What are we doing? But anyway, that's a story for a different day that I can get into with you.
And furthermore, Artemi Panarin is making more than Shesterkin by like $300,000. He's got 1 year left, $11.6 million on the deal.
All I say is oy vey. Anyway, we're gonna move on from this topic temporarily, and we do have a guest coming on, so we're gonna get set up for that. So give me a second while I get situated here because I want to show Nick some stuff, but I don't know where it is offhand. So if Callan, you want to go ahead and start announcing things, I'd appreciate that while I'm doing that.
We can do that as we welcome in my tag team partner on Press Row, your sports media and business podcast, coming your way on Wednesday with a doubleheader and twin bill of special guests on the program at 7 o'clock Pacific. That is our fearless leader, Nick Morgeson in Plainview, New York. Nick, I did not expect that we'd be having you on a hockey show, but here we are because we have a major announcement, though, up in the Bay Area revolving around the San Jose Sharks and their brand new lease at SAP Center. But Nick, good evening/afternoon, my man. Happy Labor Day. Good to see you. How's it going today?
Working on Labor Day. What is this nonsense?
I know, right?
But no, I did some reading on this, so I think I'm ready to answer the questions that come with this.
Yeah, so again, folks, the San Jose Sharks finally, in a way, and more importantly, I think, Nick, probably in a way, Bay Area sports fans can kind of inhale and exhale and smell the roses after, of course, what you've seen, though, over the last several years with Major League Baseball, the NBA, the NFL, obviously leaving the Oakland market or the Bay Area market. But the Sharks, though, thankfully secured their future in the Bay Area by extending their lease at the current SAP Center in San Jose for the next 25 years through the 2050-51 season. The new agreement is part of a larger partnership with the city of San Jose that includes a massive $425 million renovation of the arena over the next 10 years. The city will chip in $325 million, while the Sharks will add in $100 million more and be responsible for any cost overruns. The deal is also not just about keeping the club in San Jose, but a major reinvestment in the arena's infrastructure, fan experience, and player facilities, setting up the Sharks for long-term success both on and off the ice. It also speaks to a new level of commitment from a franchise that has been rebuilding for many years, providing a stable foundation for young stars like Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith. So I guess, Nick, the first part of the question is simple. How significant in your mind is the lease extension and renovation deal for a franchise that has been in a rebuilding phase, but also about the NHL's commitment to keep teams in their current markets not named the Arizona Coyotes?
So, number one, this is a big deal. And I'm not talking about just from the severity of it. I'm talking about from the years length, because I'm trying to do quick math. So we're in 2025. That's a 26-year lease.
Yes.
If I'm doing the math correctly. You don't see 26-year leases very often. You might
Not at all.
You might see 10 or 12 or 15.
Probably 15 at tops, I'd say.
But not 26. Like, that's a massive commitment, excuse me, to the city. I read some of the language, which there's some interesting things. There's some politically correct things.
Yes.
And then there's some things that don't 100% add up. So the San Jose City Council yesterday unanimously approved, meaning that no one voted it down. That's number one. In an agreement that extends Shark Sports and Entertainment's lease of the SAP Center until 2051. And like you said, commits hundreds of millions of public dollars towards modernizing the 32-year-old arena. So they're basically telling you is they agreed to do the funding. They agreed to renovate the arena. And some other interesting words, the deal binds the city to a $325 million investment into the municipality-owned facility. Basically meaning the city is on the hook for that money. There's no ifs, there's no ands. It's a legal binding agreement that they're entering to between the city and them. What people have to realize also, regardless if it's hockey or any sport, you have to make a deal with the town or the city that you're in to have your arena or your stadium be allowed legally in the premises that it's there for.
Yes.
If you don't have an agreement with the city or the country, depending where you are, then you legally can't own an arena or a stadium in the municipality that is currently being put together. So, like we said, so it binds the city for $325 million, and the Sharks are trimming $100 million. Here's the other thing that people don't realize with this agreement: the tax number is going to go up for everybody that lives in San Jose, because where do you think most of that investment that the city is getting is coming from? It's coming from the city, taxpayers. You and I, Callan, have had this conversation a billion times when it comes to billionaire owners that have more money than all three of us in this room would even know what exists. And they're asking the taxpayers to pay more than the team is putting up. $325 million by the city, $100 million by the Sharks. That's more than 3 times expected by the city. And when I say city, I mean taxpayers, to put up money. Because I don't see the government reaching into their pocket and exactly putting the money up that's really needed to do this. Now, like I started to say, the 2051 number is a little curious to me, because I've never really seen a 25, 26-year lease.
Right.
Unless it's either a new team that is willing to establish where it is. And I can't really think of any new teams currently, except for like the Nashville team that's coming in Major League Baseball. Or, well, there was a few expansion teams coming to baseball. But those teams are going to have to take 15, 20, 25-year leases, because these municipalities are not going to risk short amounts, knowing that these teams are picking up and moving faster than they ever have before. So it's weird because the Sharks have been around for a long time, right?
1991.
So they have track record. So I don't understand why they locked themselves in for 26 years. Now, I know that they're owned by Shark Sports and Entertainment, which means they probably do other stuff in this arena that they own.
They also own their minor league affiliate, who plays at a separate arena in San Jose, which is basically like a practice rink.
But I'm saying also inside the SAP Center also, like I see a sign on the building that says March Madness. They've had March Madness there.
Yes.
I'm sure they do concerts. I'm sure they do
Yes.
off-roading.
WWE, all that stuff. Yeah.
I'm sure they've done Monster Truck and all that stuff. Like they do everything there. So the Lease, people also have to realize that the Lease is not just for the hockey team. It's for everything else that they lease under Shark Sports and Entertainment that they can provide in that building.
Which, by the way, Nick, is the Sharks, the Barracuda of the AHL, SAP Center, and 3 public ice facilities in San Jose, Fremont, and Oakland.
Okay, that's interesting too. It says also the deal also commits the city and the NHL franchise to begin planning a new arena by September 2027.
Interesting.
So wait a minute. They took a lease out until 2051, but it says that it also commits the city and the NHL franchise to begin planning a new arena by 27. So are they saying that they would technically knock this one down, maybe?
Maybe.
And put a new one in, but where are they going to play?
Yeah, that's news to me. That is very much news to me.
I don't know if they're necessarily going to move from what I know, and I have some stuff I'm going to show you guys here in just a moment.
Right.
I think they're going to remodel completely. I don't think they're knocking down.
That's what I think.
They're renovating and rebuilding because there's, again, a ton of money involved in that, and I have some images here if I can get my computer. People
need to realize also that it's not cheap to build a stadium or an arena anymore. Go ask Jerry Jones in Dallas when he made a new stadium.
AT&T Stadium, yeah.
With the giant freaking ass scoreboard that everyone punts the ball into every time, and they have to delay game every time they hit off the scoreboard because it's so big.
Green bean fries from TGI Fridays. Let's go.
Exactly. So you have to remember, stadiums are much more expensive to build because now they have to include all the amenities, all the technology. We got to put a freaking charger in every seat so you can charge your phone during a game, or we got to charge $20 for a bottle of water, or like. So this is not going to be cheap, but you have to take into account 2 things. Either you're going to spend the money fully and build a new arena, or you're going to put enough money in to update and renovate what's going on inside the arena too.
So, per the Sharks announcement, as part of the agreement, the city of San Jose and SSE, which is Sharks Sports Entertainment, will jointly invest more than $500 million into the 32-year-old arena, providing significant updates and upgrades to the facility through a series of projects that began in the summer of this year and will continue over the next multiple years in phases. Improvements will include deferred maintenance and infrastructure updates to SAP Center's elevators, restrooms, plumbing, Wi-Fi network, sound system, electrical systems, fire protection systems, and emergency backup generators. Further, modern plans for the main concourse, a penthouse, club levels will enhance the guest in-game experience, while changes at the arena level will update the sports entertainment locker rooms, providing a modernized experience for visiting entertainers, visiting teams, and the Sharks as a whole. As Jen has some images of the new Sharks locker room, an updated entranceway to the arena, so on and so forth. And that is what is covered right now by the NH, or being covered. Also, Nick, further away from the Sharks, this came out back in April, but OC Sports and Entertainment, which helps out with the Ducks. But also further, though, Nick, away from the Sharks, though, another one, though, came out in April I forgot about, though, too, is back in April, the Ducks and OC Sports and Entertainment also announced that they were going to be doing Honda Center Encore, which is a $1 billion privately funded transformation of Honda Center and the surrounding Anaheim arena, which, by the way, is going to be hosting the indoor volleyball event for the 2028 Olympic Games.
Wait a minute. That's significant, what you just said.
Privately funded by the owners of the Ducks and Gulls and Henry and Susan Samueli.
That's significant. I don't want to gloss over that, what you just said. Privately funded. Privately funded. How often do you hear the ownership of a sports team privately fund something?
Not often.
You just don't. Now,
Again, this is just what it's going to
look like.
at least what AI thinks it's going to look like, at least.
But there's another one that I think of too, Callan, which is the Clippers, who just put in like this new, like technologically made stadium. Like they have
$2 billion Intuit Dome in Inglewood. Yes,
and I think every seat, in that arena has a charging port and a station.
It has a charging port and a remote control feature for the video board.
And I think also you can now almost order from every seat. I think
you can do that, and you can also they have new technology where you just walk in, you grab your shit, and then you leave, and then you get charged after you leave.
That's interesting. The only, and by the way, Citi Field actually does that partially too, not the same way, but now you can't even use cash at Citi Field anymore. Jen,
a lot of places that way
you've been there
nowadays.
more recently than me. Have they changed that back or no?
So it's all card.
Yeah.
There is no cash. But what's interesting about that, because it's actually happening at Madison Square Garden itself as well, they're going completely cashless.
See, I have an issue with that slightly.
So they started this new thing at the very, very end of the season. It was like the last 3 games of the homestand at the end of the season, where there's like a little food stand where you go in, grab your food. Again, it tracks it.
Yes.
You pick up, and then it charges your card or however you're paying.
But you probably still have to enter a PIN,
credit card,
right?
Debit card. But
you have to,
at the beginning, like you scan it with a little scanner. Like I saw it at the airport too. They're doing the same thing, which blew my mind. I was so confused when I saw that.
It's basically like a tracking chip, so to speak, where they have you on file. You grab the food, and then they can kind of track and then pay. But I don't know. I have a slight issue with that in the sense of.
And there's the concourse and what the arena, the inside is going to look like where they play. So,
Callan, I don't know if you're like me or not, but I like to pay for stuff.
Yes,
a lot. Like I don't know if that's you, but like that's me. Like I feel like I use credit cards a lot more now, but I like to know that I paid for stuff when I buy it right then and there, so I don't forget about it on a card. So I remember. After COVID, going back to Citi Field, and they made everything completely cashless, and it's those weird, like, white tablet things that they use, and my favorite is when they say, well, do you want a tip? And I'm like, no. I'm like, you didn't make the food. Like, that was always the funny thing during COVID, where there was well, tip, McDonald's tip. I'm like, no. So,
I guess, Nick, more importantly, the last question before we get you out of here on this one is, by the way, I also, Nick, saw in the ESPN story, because I know you brought up about that the Sharks in the city plan to build a new arena somehow in 2 years' time. There's also a note, though, that the agreement that the city and the Sharks have been binded to would also penalize the franchise that they left the city before the lease runs out June 30th of 2051.
It's a blanket lease. That's basically what it means, where they're basically saying, all right, we'll give you the 25-year lease, but you're putting a major risk on our hands for 25 years. You need to give us some guarantee that you won't leave the city, because then the city's on the hook for whatever money has to be paid out. So, I mean, to be honest, everything is legally negotiable. I hate to say that in today's times, but that clause means nothing currently, because nothing a good lawyer and a little bit of money could not fix to get out of that lease if they really want to. Of course, I really don't see the Sharks leaving San Jose anytime soon.
No way.
So that's why I think the Sharks gladly agreed to it, because they know that they're not going anywhere.
That and I also think, Nick, with just how Bay Area sports has changed. You know, the A's are gone. The Raiders are gone. The Warriors are back in San Francisco. The Giants are obviously having a, pretty rough second half of the year after they got Rafael Devers. And then, the Warriors are still competitive. And then the Sharks have had, 2 really awful years after having playoff runs. We know that the John Fisher sold off the Earthquakes of Major League Soccer earlier in the season.
Can we go
And
one show without talking about John Fisher?
And then, the
No.
49ers, and then the 49ers will probably, have another down year in the NFL. And I
They
just
just
think
got a
that,
new arena recently, or new field too.
yeah, Levi Stadium, where the
Yeah.
Super Bowl, I believe, is being held this year too,
Yes.
in February. So, like, Bay Area sports is just kind of in a weird place, but now the Sharks can kind of maybe capitalize on what they're building on the ice, I mean, with what they have. But also, Nick, more importantly, do you believe that the massive renovation will mean anything for the fan experience and the overall culture of San Jose in your mind? I don't think so.
It's tough to say now because, again, we don't know what the renovations look like or what they're 100% like. They'll tell you in the press release, "Oh, we're going to put big screen TVs in the visiting." First of all, I don't count renovations of a stadium putting big screen TVs inside the visiting clubhouse or visiting locker room, or putting in more amenities because these players or these professional athletes don't get enough when they walk into these arenas already. I look at renovations of a stadium of how does it make the fan experience better.
Bingo.
When you walk in. When the new Yankee Stadium, because I can relate, because I've been to both the old and the new. The new one is actually smaller than the old one, but there's no obstructed views. If you remember in the old Yankee Stadium in left field, if you sat like second deck, like in between those two, like you couldn't see. There was obstructed views. In this stadium, there is not an obstructed seat wherever you sit. Also, the food is better. That's always a good thing. It's a little bit easier to get around the stadium. They did a really good job with Monument Park because that was always a sticky point when they went to a new stadium. I got to go in the new one. It'll never be the old one. Let me be very clear about that because I can relate to historical stuff better than anybody. But they did a really good job, and they actually brought in more things to make it feel like Monument Park. And that way, they brought more of the items in, more of the stuff, made it bigger so people could spend more time, make it more of a experience than a walkthrough. That's what's missing in some stadiums around the country where they don't have enough of the fan experience. Like, I've traveled to 12 out of the 30 Major League Baseball stadiums. When I went to some of them, I basically walked around the stadium and I took the tours. They did a very good job of like explaining all the new amenities. Like I went to the to Truant Park in Atlanta. I've been to Houston, even though I despise them with every ounce of my being.
Gee, I wonder why.
I've been to Fenway Park. Yes, I've been to Fenway Park as a Yankee fan. But that's the one stadium that I'm praying to God they don't touch.
Same.
Because
that and Wrigley both.
And I've been to both. I've been to Wrigley too. I pray to God they don't touch Wrigley Field either. Like if it doesn't have the ivy sticking out in the outfield, it's not Wrigley Field. It's not. Ask Zan. Zan actually was there today. So there's certain stadiums you don't touch. And then there's certain ones that are just so broken down, like the Coliseum, like the A's. There were rats running around in the opposing broadcast booth when the Mets were there. And they said,
hilarious.
Do you remember when they said don't drink the water? That was a serious thing. Like that was not a joke. They literally said don't drink the water because they could not guarantee that the water was clean. A certain somebody would lie to us who's not here anymore and say that's not true. But
exactly.
I had friends who told me they went there and they said don't drink the water. That's what they told me. But the other point you brought up, because you brought up San Francisco sports, the Warriors technically did not need a new stadium.
I don't think they did, but I think they finally were able to get that plush estate in San Francisco right on the bayfront is what they were looking for forever.
It's nice. Don't get me wrong. Now, it also helps that they won 3 titles in, 7 years?
Yeah.
So they had plenty of money. The state and the council said, oh, if you've won enough, we'll move you. So there's certain circumstances where you have to look at, is the team winning? Is the stadium really as broken down? Like, I don't think the Dallas Cowboys needed a new stadium. Jerry was just willing to spend the money, and that's why they got a new stadium. So you have to look at the owner. You have to look at the situation. You have to look at if the fans are not happy, even though I love when people say, we care about the you don't care about the fans. You just want more amenities. So you could charge more for tickets, charge more for parking passes or personal seat licenses. And Christie's right. I've had people tell me the same thing, that AT&T Stadium is gorgeous. It's a lot bigger than the other one. The only problem is they can't control the sun reflecting off the top, which is
that and the windows in the end zone. Yeah.
So big stadiums are nice, but there's issues with big stadiums too that people don't realize. So you kind of got to take that into account.
He's gonna make over that place. Fucking needs it.
Which one?
Shit life.
MetLife.
Yeah, no, I call it shit life, and deservedly so. That place sucks.
I heard, and I've had friends tell me too, like that there's broken down parts of the arena on the inside. The bathrooms are terrible. I've heard that too.
Bathrooms have no AC, mind you. So it's freaking sweltering when I was there for the Jonas Brothers concert. The bathroom was over 101 degrees.
That stadium has been terrible for a while, and they have 2 New York teams playing in there. You think
the parking situation
claiming New Jersey?
Well, yes, you're right.
People go park at the Dream Mall across the thing, and then they walk across that walkway.
That's terrible
because there's no parking.
That's another thing. People don't take parking into effect when they figure out the value of the stadium. Callan, you'll know this because we've talked about this before. Remember the McCourt situation with the Dodgers?
Oh, you know it.
Jen, I don't know if you know that situation too well, but Frank McCourt, who was the former owner of the Dodgers before the big Guggenheim partners came in, McCourt did a really, I want to call it brilliant thing, in my opinion, even though it wasn't.
No.
So he sold the team and the stadium, but he held on to the parking lot rights. If you remember that, Callan.
I do.
So he basically handcuffed the Guggenheim partners because he still owned all the revenue for the cars coming into the stadium. So you got to keep all that in mind too. Some people are a little cuckoo when it comes to the business, when it comes to stadium needs.
Oh, man. Nick, we could obviously talk more about this, but I know we have a very action-packed show on Wednesday with multiple guests and a lot of other topics involving Lee Corso, Dave Portnoy, you name it, on Wednesday. Thanks for the time, and we'll catch you Wednesday.
Quick plug, as Jen likes to do shameless plugs on all shows. 2 big guests. Christine Brennan, USA Today, controversial in the WNBA world because we don't get enough of it, who wrote a Caitlin Clark book, has agreed to come on the show. So that'll be right at the top at 10 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. And Casey Stern at 10:30, 10:35-ish will join us after that. Used to be on SiriusXM, was host on TBS for the postseason for baseball, filled in for Ernie on Inside the NBA. And I shared the story with Jen. It's a very scary but informing story that happened to him. So I can't wait to kind of share that with everybody. So, and we've known each other actually for a while too, so that kind of helped. So
a lot to do on Wednesday. Nick, thanks again, my man. We'll see you then.
Nick, thank you.
Right, see ya.
All right, Nick Morgeson from Press Row. Again, you can catch myself and Nick on Wednesday night. As he said, Christine Brennan, Casey Stern joining us in the first hour of our show. And I think, though, Jen really, helped explain, though, there's so much legal mumbo jumbo when we talk about a team in the city agreeing for a new arena, a new stadium. And as we saw here again, 25, 26-year leases don't come around every day of the week that end in the letter Y, as we saw with the Sharks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we looked at some of the pictures briefly of what the AI model is claiming the inside of the arena is going to look like. Now, people, be aware that's not exactly how it's going to look. That's just what AI has generated it to look like. Again, we don't know until it's finished around, they said late 2027, sometime in mid to late 2027. We don't know. There's no date yet. So don't go holding their hands hostage if they go, oh, we need more time. They never gave us a date for a valid reason. They probably don't know yet because it's probably going to take a long time to do everything they're claiming they're going to do. If you looked at the brief picture I put up of the locker room, how pretty that is. For me personally, again, I'm a sucker for the round locker rooms. I just feel like it brings more team chemistry and stuff.
Thank you, Mark Messier.
Exactly. But I like the way the Sharks arena is set to look. I think it's going to bring a lot of the fan experience back. Again, you and I have talked about, and we're going to get back into it. with our Sin Bin segment here momentarily. With all their young talent, obviously they're going to be good for years to come. Yeah, it's not going to be right away. So let's put that out there. Let's make that very clear. I think the Sharks have at least another possibly between 2 and 5 years before they're even a full contender. But I like where the Sharks are going. I like the idea of remodeling. I like the idea of getting the fan atmosphere to be better. Obviously, look at Shea Stadium and Citi Field, how much they did with that. We could say Yankee Stadium. So many arenas did it, and it obviously works because clearly the fans want to go. Yeah, it's going to be a little more expensive now because of all the upgrades. The fans ultimately end up paying the ultimate sacrifice for that. It's like a heart. It's like a heart and a leg of your body to sell off to get tickets. But
arm, leg, rib cage, firstborn daughter, firstborn son.
But I'm looking at just some of the photos here, and I'll pop them back up for you, Count, because I know we didn't get the time to go over them necessarily together, the two of us. So I'll bring this back up because I actually have it sitting here still because I forgot to look at it again. Like that's gonna be what the ice and where the fans are. This is the main concourse down here.
And that scoreboard too. And by the way, the scoreboard is also brand spanking new too at the tank too. So that's not going anywhere anytime soon.
So yeah, there's a little bit of scoreboard. I wish there was more of it. I always will love the shark head that's in the corner over there.
Oh, it's one of the great. It's honestly one of the greatest like on ice introductions of all time, away from like the Rangers playing Babbo Rally by the Who when they come onto the ice.
Same photo. 1 second, I'm looking for the other one. There is one more. Don't mind me because I'm very unorganized right now. Nope, that we'll get to. That'll make sense in a second, people.
Yes, it will in a moment. But again, huge deal though for the Sharks. Again, getting that lease with the city back up and running. So this is the exterior of the arena, and then the new Sharks locker room at SAP Center as part of this ongoing new lease deal with the city, the franchise, and SAP Center, which again is 32 years old already, and probably time for some TLC at the Tank, which by the way is probably one of my favorite nicknames of arenas in all of the league.
Locker room, I love like they have like the blue lighting underneath, like to kind of look like the ocean for the Sharks. The gray, because the shark's skin is usually gray and kind of scratchy, so I kind of love that they're adding just these little details that nobody would think of. So I love this. I think if this arena is set to look the way it does, I mean, it's gonna bring fans in, and then again, as we said, the young talent, which you'll see why some of those pictures in there look very confusing, and why it's gonna make sense in about 5 minutes here when we go into that.
Yeah, we actually have one more to go from the EA Sports players rating segment, Jim, because the Blues, as you also said, or told me that they have unveiled their complete jersey schedule: the home white, the new light blue at home, and then the new retro inspired navy blue jersey. But more importantly, Jen, the jersey schedule details exactly when fans can expect to see the club wear the home, away, and alternate jerseys. This kind of transparency, though, has become a very popular trend with fan engagement, allowing supporters and fans to coordinate their game day apparel to match what the club or team is in fact wearing for a given game. Jen, you know who I think started that trend was the NBA. After Nike got the deal, and then and every team has like 8 different uniform combinations where they literally will now put on the schedule what jersey that they're wearing, so fans can coordinate either the hat, the sweatshirt, or the jersey. And I remember that the Ducks had done this before they went to the all orange rebrand. The Kings did this as well when they were kind of, bringing back, the white 93 era Gretzky Cup final run. So Jen, what your thoughts though about seeing a club like the Blues go this route though of the jersey schedule now becoming a thing across the NHL, at least right now in St. Louis?
Well, the Rangers do this too with their third alternate jersey, and which, by the way, I know that was a particular hot point with Ranger fans this past season. They've grown on me. I actually really like it, and I actually
is it the navy blue one with
navy blue with the red, white, and blue stripes on the arms and down by the end of the jersey.
Okay.
It says I think NYR in like block letters, like across like the logo. Yeah. It's really nice. They've done a phenomenal job with it. The Rangers really do it well. Like when they go new jerseys, they try to keep it somewhat traditional, at least with whether it be their color scheme or the Lady of Liberty head, bringing that back.
That's still my favorite.
Bring it back. I want it.
Bring it back.
But I love the Blues jersey. That reverse retro, you and I looked at it earlier when I pulled up all the schedules on screen. That jersey's sick. 10 out of 10. Would absolutely buy it. They're awesome. NHL, do more of this. But you know what? I have a hot point for you that we didn't actually necessarily get to talk about, and I want to because it's been bothering me. The theme jerseys. Can we please just not wear them in warm-ups? Can we actually be allowed to wear them on the ice?
Yeah.
Especially, I don't mind, the military jerseys. I think those should always be allowed.
Absolutely.
Fight cancer ones as well. Hello. You know how many people are going through cancer and die from cancer every day? NHL,
Yes.
Can we be a little more progressive here? I understand wearing them in warm-ups and auction mode from. I get it. Bullshit. Sorry. I get it, but bull. I call bull.
I mean, if the AHL will let teams wear those specialty jerseys for the full game, the NHL can make the consensus, to not cave to corporate pressure or cave to people's thoughts about where society is at and let them wear it for the full game. Believe me, I understand though as well about, it's pregame only. The proceeds go towards, whatever the cause is, though. But
Garden of Dreams or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, local team foundation, Susan G. Komen, whatever it might be. At least, one time at least, let them wear it for the full game.
I understand there's a couple controversial ones that we won't talk about that I don't want to get. We'll get into it later, actually, when we do that segment here. And just a little bit down the line, you know which one I'm referring to.
Yes, because my organization is having one of these particular theme nights in March this year.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that. But that was something that was bothering me, Kellen, because you and I have never gotten to talk about it, and I actually wanted to, because I think it's actually important that we do that, and I'm sure we'll get more into it as the season progresses.
Agreed.
As we are literally about a little over a month away from the start of actual regular season hockey.
Finally. All right, Jen, to the sin bin. I mean, I don't know if this is really like a sin bin, but it's still pretty viral. But that is about the San Jose Sharks, who announced a promotional bobblehead night to commemorate the ever infamous social media sleepover between rookie sensations Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith and veteran forward Tyler Toffoli while the club was on a road trip. The story that went viral after the players posted a photo on social media showed the trio hanging out together, underscoring the team's strong locker room chemistry. The decision is to immortalize the moment with a bobblehead that demonstrates a savvy understanding of modern fan culture, with the Smith and Celebrini part being opening night, but then you have to buy the Toffoli part and make a donation to the Sharks Foundation, I believe, to get the other portion of the bobblehead. I believe Jen has the photos of it.
Give me 1 second. My computer's giving me an issue, but I have it here. I promise you it's coming in a second. My computer's just being a butt. I wish it would
which by the way, the moment was pretty funny for the fact it was like a long road trip the team was on. They won a game, I think, in overtime. And I think that there was a bet made between Celebrini, Smith, and Toffoli that said, "Hey, Tyler, if we win this particular game, you need to come and sleep over in the hotel." And I think that he even lugged a Murphy bed or a rollout, or he was on the rollout couch with Mac and Will on in the room. And obviously the Sharks took it and ran with it at that point in time. As here is the part. So.
Can you guys? I don't know why it's not staying up. So
we just had it. So there we go. So you literally get the first part on the left, I believe, on opening night. Then you have to purchase the Toffoli part, later time and date, or make a donation. I think to the Sharks Foundation to get the full bobblehead set for this obviously viral moment. Now, Jen, I am of the belief, though, that you can sell all the jerseys you want. You can have all the TikTok views you want, but that does not win you hockey games. But in the modern day era, though, Jen, of where sports fandom has become, moments like this, though, get immortalized in ways like this, with a bobblehead, a T-shirt giveaway. I know that the Ducks obviously capitalized on Beckett Seneca, who, could not believe he was drafted third overall in the 2024 draft. And they made that moment into a shirt that sold like hotcakes at Denny's. So, Jen, in your opinion, though, this is a classic example of a team leaning into fun or into a fun, relatable moment. Do you, though, Jen, believe, there's the original photo, by the way, Jen, do you at all think that this kind of marketing helps teams connect with a younger audience, but is it also a good sign of the culture being built by the Sharks up in San Jose? I'm kind of mixed on it because I get that this is cool. I love that this is a thing. However, at the end of the day, though, what do the standings read? And it read that they won 20 games this past season and had the number 2 overall pick again. So I don't mind, though, that this though is perfect. As a former player, you want to build chemistry. You want to get the guys on the same page. I get that. But maybe now that I'm older and out of touch now in some ways with where sports has gone, you need to also look at the standings. Like, this is a fun thing for locker room camaraderie, but not a thing that I really would jump at the moment. I know that they also did like a rap video for Christmas. Like, I know that like social media and like fan engagement's a big thing, but not though when you're only winning 20 games a year. So I'm very mixed about it, though. I think, though, it's great. It's fun. I'm glad the Sharks are going to capitalize on it. But also, though, as an athlete, you need to also kind of, what's the big picture? Go viral or go and win hockey games?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree with you in a sense of it. You can have your fun, and this is innocent fun. Now, this is not something that would destroy the team or cause
no way am I trying to say that at all whatsoever. But there also comes a time, though, okay, we've lost 10 in a row again. What are we going to do?
I mean, look at the Blues when they were not allowed to go to the concert at the Sphere, and they also went on this like huge run of like all these like winning, and they all of a sudden got together and they had a meeting, and there was this is comical.
The fact that they also played the song Gloria when they were not even in the playoff race in 2019, and that led them to the Stanley Cup final and the championship. Yeah, like there's kind of a right way to go about this. This, though, again, let the kids have fun. I am definitely on board for that because it's also like a veteran's like, man, I don't want to be hanging out with these kids now that we won the game and stuff, because again, Toffoli's won Stanley Cups. He's he's a veteran. But again, though, I like it because this shows, though, they're a unit. They're together. They are a team in some way. But like I said, though, when it's only win 15 out of an 82-game season, I'm not going to really like celebrate like this is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
I think the funny part of this whole story was we actually did not tell this part of the story, and it's going to make people laugh. Tyler Toffoli goes, if I would have remembered this bet was happening, I would have not taken that shot and passed it up to somebody else. I wouldn't have had to do it.
Oh, my goodness.
Cookies. Because apparently Mac was celebrating the Will Smith ordered milk and cookies every night at the hotel before they go to bed. Like a bunch of toddlers.
See, like that kind of thing, though, again, like you said, that does show me these guys are together. They've bought into the system. They're buying in to each other. Again, I just don't know if this is the right way to go about it. Now, again, have all your fun. But again, I don't want to knock this like this is something bad. It's more along the lines of like, okay, this is great. Locker room chemistry is there. But like I said, though, at the end of the day, are we worried about viral moments off the ice, or are we worried about trying to get the Sharks out of a rebuild is more where I'm at, though. But regardless, Jen, I love that the Sharks are running with this idea. It's a marketing ploy. This does, I think, get the crowd to come to the game because, bobbleheads have exploded. And then I think, like I said, though, I think the other part is that you have to make a donation, I think, to get the other part of the bobblehead. So, again, there's a lot of pluses with this, but this does not, though, deter away of what the team's ultimate goal should be, which is winning more than 20 games a season.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I just thought it was, honestly, the reason I picked it for the Sid Minute was, honestly, it's just too funny not to share that moment because, again, Tyler Toffoli speaking out going, yeah, if I would have remembered this was happening and they would have talked to me about it, I would not have scored that goal. I would have given it to somebody else to do it.
I would have passed it up to somebody else, exactly.
But, again, just a really funny story to kind of, because we're going to get into a sad story here in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So Monday will have the energy high before we go into that.
Yeah, and again, more importantly, I'm all for fun like this. I'm all for, again, the guys showing, yeah, we're a team. We're going to get through this eventually with the rebuild. But like I said, though, don't deter that. Don't become viral sensations of like, the Christmas videos and stuff. Let the game do some talking, every now and then. Jen, more importantly, kind of as we said, though, a couple of very hot topics here on the table now in this part of the show, though. But more importantly, Jen, in his first public interview since the trade was made from Toronto to Vegas, Mitch Marner made a shocking revelation about the threats that were made against his family after the Maple Leafs' most recent playoff exit. He had stated though, that someone had posted his home address, my goodness gracious, online, forcing him to hire private security detail for 2 weeks. The Leafs also disputed his claims, but the incident does highlight the intense pressure and toxic nature of fandom in certain markets, like in the NHL, for example, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Marner further discussed his emotional final phone call with longtime teammate and best friend Austin Matthews before the sign and trade was made with him going to Vegas. So, Jen, a two-part question. This now sheds more light, not just in the NHL, Jim, but across all of sports, with intense pressure and fan scrutiny in a market like Toronto, but also across other sports. How does this ongoing trend of toxicity impact a player's mental health and their decision-making process? Where, again, I think, though, Jen, that Danny Z said it so right when we had him here, because he literally said, I'm in my, I'm at home. I can see the Rogers Center in the CN Tower from my apartment. And he said, half the fan base was torn. Half was like, hey, we support you. We get it. The other half, if not three-quarters, were like, where's your house? I'll come help you pack. Get out of my sight and get off my team.
Yeah, that's exactly what Daniel was saying to us when we asked him about this just a few weeks ago when he was on the show. Again, Daniel, Christian from Bardown, thank you guys for coming on. Let's get that very right. This is not the first incident like this, though. Maybe it wasn't that serious, but his car got broken into.
Yes.
During a game back in Toronto during the regular season before they even made playoffs. His windshield was broken. His car was cleaned out. Thank God he had really nothing super valuable in there, but his car got booted. It was a whole thing. He had to go pay to get it out of the impound lot. Look, okay. I'll be the first one to say my fan base of my team is fucking toxic. Like, let's get that straight. Like, Ranger fans, there's no denying that shit. Sorry, you ain't hiding from this one. Shots fired.
Sadly, Jen, you can put any New York team in that same boat.
Yeah, I had to call my team. I had to take a little shot at my own team there. I don't get to do it nearly enough. But don't post people's houses. Don't go to their houses. That's, first off, he has a newborn baby at home, with his wife who just gave birth. First off, that's enough in itself to have some fucking respect. But don't show up to people's houses. Don't post their address. Don't post their phone numbers. Don't do any of that. First off, have some decency and human respect. He's still a human at the end of the day. I don't care if he's an NHL player or he freaking drives the Zamboni. I don't care. You don't go to someone's house and post their address on a public forum of any sense kind or wherever. I don't care. There's no excuse for that behavior. Don't break into people's cars. That's not cool either. Don't go online and rip them a new one. This was not Marner's fault. How about you talk to the whole team as a whole about the way they've been behaving and the way that they have been not hitting the milestones they should have been hitting. But don't go to Mitch Marner's house when he has a newborn baby and a wife at home. That's not okay. That's terrifying. That's trauma-inducing. That is how you end up in therapy for the rest of your life.
Jen, I'll answer part two of this question is, what does it say about the state of professional sports fandom when fans resort to personal threats? The one word starts and ends with the letter G. It's called gambling. This has been, Jen, one of the worst epidemics of fan misbehavior I've ever seen in recent memory. This is not even involving Dildogate in the WNBA for a cryptocurrency scheme, Jen. This is about other real human-to-human stuff, though, not just in the NHL. This includes baseball, Jarren Duran, Tyler Saucedo of the Mariners, Liam Hendricks of the Red Sox, Luis Ariz of the Padres. This is becoming a damn epidemic where people, and I even, Jen, said this to my mom today because something came up about how certain market fan bases like sadly New York, Boston, Chicago, LA, of how certain market franchise or how certain team and city fan bases resort to levels like this, not just with gambling and, oh, my parlay got blown because this player didn't, strike out 5 batters. I'm going to make death threats against him. But I recall, though, watching the ESPN 30 for 30 comparing the Bill Buckner era in 86 to the Steve Bartman issue in 03 with the Cubs, and how Bob Ryan, the legendary Boston Globe beat writer, said that when Bill Buckner missed that ball in Game 6 of the 86 World Series, Bob said it felt personal for so many Boston sports fans, where these are the same people. And I sadly, Jim, will say the same thing about New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Boston, and
Toronto.
LA. And in the NHL's case, Toronto, Montreal, and Boston, and other big markets in the NHL. But it's to the point, though, Jen, where people will go to the job site, or they will blame getting divorced, or blame breaking up with their spouse or their girlfriend or boyfriend, or why they had a shit day at the office. They'll blame all of that, or they take it, Jen, so personally. They will blame the Red Sox losing to the Mets in '86 on the fact of, well, I got divorced, so it's Bill Buckner's fault that I got divorced, or that they lost the game in April to the Padres, for example. That this sort of rhetoric is beyond asinine. It's embarrassing for people that go behind and use fake accounts with no followers and a bunch of random characters of the English dictionary and the alphabet and numbers to just trash a fellow human being because they take sports so freaking seriously. It's life and death with them. It's not. It's a game, people. And I remember Jen saying this on Press Row when Nick and I talked about the fact that Little League Baseball was being wagered on in overseas markets over the course of the tournament, and how outraged I was about hearing that. So now all of a sudden we're going to put middle school children in jeopardy over the fact of people want to win money on a baseball game involving kids in middle school. Middle school kids are having games wagered on all of a sudden. So at the end of the day, Jen, I'm shocked that more athletes don't use social media, or they have someone handle the social media bullshit for them, or they actually do hire bodyguards like Juan Soto, for example, having security at every game for him and his family, which I think nowadays, Jen, I may have laughed at it a bit because I didn't like Soto being in San Diego, but it's also like, this is why these athletes act like this. Jen, you would know better than me, and so would Christy. Look at Rhea Ripley or Demi Barnett from WWE. She had to go on Twitter again and say, stop harassing me when I'm at the airport or in a Uber leaving the arena. I will sign for you if you act respectful, but if you're going to keep hounding me, chasing me down at the airport, on the flight, or in my Uber, I'm going to flip you off and say no. And this rhetoric has to stop.
Absolutely, yeah. It's become really, it's become such, as you said, an epidemic. That's absolutely the correct word. Not only sports betting, but fantasy leagues get taken so out of context.
Yes.
Like for us, like our league, we're not like
No.
the football guys. They're doing a couple dollars and everyone gets a little bit and whatever. We're not doing that. We're doing no money. This is for shits and giggles. We're having fun. This is for content's sake. We're not professionals. We've never played the NHL at a high level. We're not. Kellen might be more of an athlete than I am.
I was about 13 years ago. Not anymore.
But again, this is about a game. It's about having fun, supporting your team in the correct manner. Do not harass people. Do not stalk them. Do not death threats. Talk about their dead family members. Let's get that damn straight.
Yeah, please.
Don't go talking about players' mental health when they come out. That's why a lot of players don't come out about stuff like that, because
Jaron Duran almost assaulted a fan in Cleveland for that this year.
I mean, don't assault fans either. Again, I was at the Yankee game at the time during the World Series when Mookie Betts got grabbed and held by his arm. He could have broken his arm.
Yeah.
Please don't do that. That's just inappropriate and just not okay behavior. Please act respectful if you go to a game. I don't mind cursing and getting upset because your team is losing. That's a normal reaction. Please do more of that. Your team needs it probably. But don't harass players. Don't stalk them. Don't show up at their houses. Don't put their address, their phone number. Don't do any of that. Please. It's disgusting, first off. And second off, do not go in their DMs, whether they're open or not. Find them on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever it might be, and send them inappropriate, disgusting pictures that they did not ask for. That is sexual harassment. That is actually a really big problem. Do not do that. That is gross and disgusting.
I mean, let alone the fact that it's a game, folks. I get that you can be like me and you've never seen your city win a damn championship, but I don't go out there and rip and rip players a new one on my team if they don't come up with a big hit in a situation like that. I mean, because that's just it's taking a game beyond, way outside the lines, and the behavior is disgusting. I'm glad that Mitch did what he had to do to keep his family and himself safe, for one thing. I would not be shocked if he either shuts down DMs or gets off social media when he moves to Vegas, but something more should be done, honestly. I don't know what else could be done. Jen, you did, though, tease it, but of course, we are just within the past couple days of marking the very much still raw in my mind first-year anniversary of the death of both Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau, again, who were killed on August 29th of 2024 by a drunk driver while they were on their bikes in the wee hours of the morning in old Townsmanship, New Jersey. Since then, the hockey world has come together in a massive outpouring of support for the family, including the establishment of the John and Matthew Gaudreau Foundation, dedicated to carrying on their legacy of community service throughout the entire league. Also, more importantly, Columbus Blue Jackets goaltender Elvis Merzlikins got a tattoo in memory of his former teammate, a testament to the close bond that forged in the hockey world. Jen, it's been a year. I can't believe it, but it's still very much raw in my mind. I woke up that morning, checked a couple of group chats, and saw from someone who doesn't know the game, though, but they broke the story, and I'm like, how is this happening? Over the off season, this whole thing happens. And it still is just like, because I got to watch Johnny play with Calgary at one point when they would come to play in Anaheim, and he had a couple of big goals for the Flames against the Ducks in the playoffs a couple times. And again, I always loved watching him play, though he was on a rival divisional opponent. But I always loved how he played the game and how he was just, his infectious energy. Again, we know about the smile and the Skittles and the purple Gatorade when he'd walk in for every game. But Jen, how have you seen the league and players rally around the Gaudreau family, and what do you believe was the most impactful tribute that you've seen so far? It's got to be the tributes, though, in Columbus and in Calgary the day after the day after we lost Matthew and Johnny.
Another one that we did fail to mention is Cole Caulfield changed his number to honor his mentor, pretty much, the guy he grew up watching. He got to play with him very briefly, I think, in some kind of tournament or something. I forget exactly how they know each other. But Cole Caulfield obviously changing his number to 13 to honor Johnny Gaudreau. Obviously, the incident happened in the morning of their sister's wedding. That actually just took place several weeks ago. Obviously, that everything had to be moved. I think the venue and everything took care of them, I think, because it was such a shocking tragedy. Obviously, the venue is not responsible to do that, but in a certain situation like that, it's the right thing to do. The family's struggling enough with the loss of not one child, but two. Their daughter's wedding had to get moved. So many moving parts. Both their wives were pregnant. It's more than just two players tragically losing their lives. There's two young children that were already in the world losing their father. And both their wives were pregnant. One was expecting their first child. One was expecting their third child. I mean, how do you go and explain to your kids daddy's never coming home?
Yeah.
Like, Madeline and I forget the other wife's name offhand. I apologize. I don't remember it offhand. But they are so strong. I don't know how I would be able to cope with that. I can't even put myself in those shoes. I don't want to put myself in those shoes. It's got to be horrible. But I love that. And the lighter side of things, Guy Gaudreau has gotten the help with some practices and some
He's been making his rounds, and I love that teams are like calling him up to come out and practice with the teams. I think Torts did that when he was in Philly. I think the Canadiens did it at one point. Very cool gesture that Guy has been able to go out there and, you know, help out in some way, shape, form, or size. And Jen, stories like this always hit home for me when I go to work usually, and then there's a story like this. And when I go to work, when you are the PA announcer for a club within the hockey world, as I've been for 10 years, if not longer, and I remember the Humboldt bus crash. I remember Nick Kurdelis, who used to play for the Ducks and the Gulls, when he was killed in a motorcycle crash last season. Johnny and Matthew obviously passing. Time stands still when I ask the arena to stand and remove their hats, and I'm the only one that they hear reading off the script, about who we've lost, you know, and please join us in a moment of silence. And the one that will never leave my memory is the Humboldt bus crash, because the Gulls are playing the Ontario Reign, which is the LA affiliate, and that's been our main rival for 10 years, because they're with LA, we're with Anaheim. But after reading the script and telling people to stand for a lengthy moment of silence, I look out from my spot in the penalty box, and here's Gulls player, Reign player, Gulls player, Reign player, alternating all the way around the center circle with heads hung down and the lights out and just the spotlight being on them at center ice. It was a moment that I'll never forget, on top of also Colby Cave, who I was playing with the Edmonton Oilers. Colby had a very public battle with cancer. I believe he passed away in the middle or right before the season started, I want to say during the COVID season. So we had no fans, though, at the games. But we thought, out of respect, though, that we would honor Colby during a game against the Condors, which is the affiliate for the Oilers. And they said, thank you for doing this. This was very heartfelt, especially with the times that we're in with COVID and no fans being there. Nick Kurdelis, losing his life after his hockey career ended. And again, I believe he was the first Orange County or Southern California native picked by the Ducks organization. Him and Emerson Edom come to mind when I think about SoCal kids. Matt Nieto comes to mind. But with Emerson and then with Nick playing for the Ducks at one point in time, that was very hard. The club even had a Nick Kurdelis memorial decal on their helmets during the course of the season. And I always say, though, Jen, that whenever the hockey community loses anybody, doesn't matter what team you root for or your thoughts on them as a player or a coach or whatever, the hockey world, Jen, as you and I know, is so damn small that everyone in some way is affected by it, regardless of who it is and who they played for, what they stood for.
Absolutely. I mean, look at last week when we had Christian on. We brought him on to do the little tribute that we did for Patty O'Donnell of the O'Donnell family and sister Annie and Christian, very, being a part of the hockey world. That maybe doesn't know her personally, but, we all know her from social media. We don't, we all felt like we were part of his journey. She was very public in sharing his battle and sharing it with us and letting us into a part of their lives. A lot of people are afraid to share. So a lot of respect goes out to her, seriously, and same for the Goodrow family. Their wives have been ridiculously strong. Guy Goodrow, their children, just everybody involved. They did a whole 5K charity thing. The Chuck brothers were involved because they were good friends with the Goodrow family. So, obviously, so many lovely tributes, so many lovely words of encouragement. It feels like the NHL with 32 teams is such a big number, but when you really look at the community as a whole, it's so tight knit. We're all regardless of who you root for on either side of the ice. Yes, as me and Kellen are both like tearing up essentially. It doesn't matter who you root for at the end of the day. As Christian said, we're all one big family and we're all one big community. And we're there when something tragic happens. Everybody kind of comes together, regardless of who you're wearing on your chest, what team you root for, how long you've been a hockey fan. Does not matter. It matters about, at the end of the day, you're honoring that person in their life. Because, again, just because they're a hockey player, that's not all they are. They're someone's child, brother, sister, sibling. Does not matter. That person means so much to somebody that maybe you don't know. whether it be a fiance, a wife, a mother, father, sibling, child, does not matter. They mean something to somebody, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you are or who you stand for or who you root for. It's such a hard thing to go through, such a tragedy, but it brings the entire hockey world together for a short time before we go back into what can be considered, I guess, for some of us, normal life. For those families involved who have lost a child, their lives will never be the same.
Not at all. Jen, staying with one of Johnny's franchises, the Columbus Blue Jackets have another powerful story emerging from the Columbus community as several current and former Blue Jacket players and staff rallied to support a local 12-year-old hockey player named Quinn Halstead, who plays for the Ohio AAA Blue Jackets, who was diagnosed recently with a brain tumor. When a GoFundMe account was created for her family to help with medical expenses, Blue Jacket players, including Elvis Merzlikins, Kirill Marchenko, and Zach Rowinski, stepped up and donated a combined total of nearly $20,000, with the campaign now exceeding its goal because of the three players giving their financial backing. The act of kindness underscores the strong community ties that exist within the sport of hockey. Again, Jen, perfect example right here of a hockey community coming together. Jen, what do you believe, though, motivates players like this to step up in these moments? And what's the broader impact of this kind of generosity on the community and the players themselves for doing this sort of thing?
No, I think the players, again, they're very lucky. They all say it in the interviews if you hear them when they get drafted or when they, get called up to the NHL, whether in the minor leagues or coming up from college or wherever they are. That my point is, to stop rambling a ton, they're very lucky, and they keep saying how blessed they are to be in a position where they can give back to their communities, whether it be on or off the ice. Look at the shoulder check event, for example. It brings every team together in some way, shape, or form with every fan. And, these players, they're financially well off. We all know they make a ton of money. Some of us wish we had that kind of money. To lighten the mood a little bit here, from you and I are both tearing up. No, the players, they know when it means something to somebody. Again, we kind of just said it to each other. As I said, this is somebody's child at the end of the day. And it's, these players understand they've lost somebody of their own. And, they know what that feels like to go through that. And, a lot of the players, they go into whatever the organization is, whether it's, for me, it's the Garden of Dreams with the Rangers, whatever the charity is that they're connected with. They go out and they go to hospitals, they meet the children, they hang out with them, they spend time, they get to know their families. They get to know their siblings, everybody involved in their life in some way, shape, or form. Again, I love the My Wish segment. Kreider did it with a young girl named Emma who passed away, and he did an interview, I believe, with Michelle Gingras or something, and he was talking about it, and he stops mid-interview, and he's absolutely breaking down, crying on camera, and it just goes to prove everything that you and I have been saying for so long. It's not about what you wear on your chest. It doesn't matter what team you play for. It matters that that's someone's child, and that community is going to step up and do everything they can to fight for her, just the way the Oilers did with Ben, the little boy Ben that they had who passed away. Again, for the Blues, another one who's still alive, very thankfully, and I will tell her story eventually. I actually want to get her on the show to tell her story at some point. Layla Anderson.
Yes.
She's another living miracle that we can actually talk to, because I'm actually going to reach out, because I've actually been following her story for some time. And this goes back to that for me. Layla Anderson's been a huge name in the community with young children who are fighting cancer, and she's been very active on her social media, very much an activist to give back to children's hospitals because she went through it herself. Pardon me. So obviously this story is heartbreaking. We wish nothing but the best to her and her family as she goes through this battle. We're all standing behind her, and we all want to see her come out the other side of the way we did with Leah. I think it's Leah Anderson. I forget how to pronounce her name, but yeah, we all, obviously the whole hockey community is behind her in every way, shape, and form. These players are amazing for giving money. There's other players who gave a little bit less, but they were a lot of the players, a lot of the coaches, staff, I believe, give a ton of money, and they're actively in communication with her and her family on how she's doing and how her treatments are going. So seriously, a round of applause for the Blues and everything they've been doing to help this young girl. again, to her teammates, her family, we're here for you. We're behind you. The hockey communities, they got you. The hockey community's got you.
They do, and I'm very proud, Jen, of what the Anaheim Ducks have done. From my perspective, is that they name a 21st Duck every year. It's a community-driven initiative where they have a 21st member of their opening night roster, and they're with the team for the entire year. And this is involved, people now who are friends of mine, who have beaten being a double amputee, who we'll talk about later on in our show to close out the program. Uh, Parkinson's, breast cancer. Recently, it was a girl named Emma Melton, I believe, who is battling food allergies. That they become like a ingrained member of the club all season. They come to almost, and all of them always come back every opening night to Honda Center to welcome the newest member, of the 21st Duck family. And this goes beyond the face-off circles and the neutral zone of a hockey rink. This is about people helping out their local community. And I also think, Jen, this is, I know, something, that this kind of topic is obviously something that I know a lot of people say, well, why can't these athletes do this more often than just one time and actually be model citizens and actually go out there and do the dirty work and blah 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 blah. You won't find this really much anywhere else. Okay, maybe other sports, but I don't know, though, if any other sport comes close to the NHL, Jen, when it boils down to sheer random acts of kindness like this, of a, 12-year-old, kind of in a way, 12-year-old person that none of these guys know. She happens to play for one of their, travel teams in the greater Columbus area. These guys didn't have to do this out of, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. But I mean, again, this is a perfect example, though, Jen, of how sports help in times like this. And Nick and I will talk a bit next Thursday about how sports help people get their mind off 9/11 when we are on the air for the 9/11 on September 11th next week for Press Row, because I have a lot of stories from my own perspective of a West Coast person living during that time, but watching these events unfold. But at the end of the day, though, Jen, is like we've said, though, the hockey community is always going to be there for you. We talked about, Annie losing her brother, and we know that we had seen that Dominique Petrie of the Minnesota Frost, who was lifelong friends with Annie and her family, brought the Walter Cup to their house to let Patty celebrate that victory. And I remember that I didn't get to meet Patty this particular night, and I sent you the video. But a couple years ago, Patty was actually our Hockey Fights Cancer Night honoree that night. And I got to read his story to the crowd. And obviously, him passing obviously hits home, because though he was a Sharks fan, but him being from Orange County, that both the Ducks and the Gulls did something for him in some capacity, and having followed Annie for so long now, and kind of like feel like I know her in a way now because of the indirect tie of them and their family being introduced by yours truly at, Hockey Fights Cancer Night. I mean, this again is just proving my point that though hockey's not on everyone's radar, there's a lot of great human beings in this league, though, that people need to take notice of.
And again, a lot of what these guys do, whether it be visiting children's hospitals or donate, they don't always want that publicized. Let's be clear, just because you're not seeing it doesn't mean they're not doing it. A lot of the guys, when they do stuff like that, they want it to be remembered. They want it to be that they can enjoy that moment without cameras constantly hovering over them all day long.
And you said it right. Logan O'Hoppe of the Angels even told the Angel Ball Club, I think said in a video, whenever I do make hospital visits, I don't want cameras following me, because I don't want them to think that I'm doing this as a cop-out or whatever it is. Like, I'm legitimately going there to give my time and not just, take a photo and leave, but like sit there and listen to the stories of what they're going through. And I don't want cameras around me for like that, like justification of like he actually did it.
Exactly. That was like way back when. You won't know this, but I do, because I grew up a fan of his. Bieber, when he was on his original OG tour that everyone went to, every night before a show, he would meet with a Make-A-Wish family, and there would be no cameras on. No camera people were allowed in the room with the family. he would sit there and talk to the family, get to know them, be with their be with the child and talk to them. And he goes, I didn't want to publicize because again, these children are dying. They're some of them are in late stage cancer and there's no helping it. I don't want that publicized. That they want to spend their last moments with their family with positive memories. I don't want to shove cameras in their faces, and I don't want people thinking I'm doing it because I'm famous. Because I actually genuinely care about these kids, and I want to see the best for them. And he goes, I don't want that. I don't want cameras shoved in my face when I'm doing that.
Yeah, without a doubt. All right, Jen, some contractual obligations now as we kind of move away to back on the ice still. But Luke Hughes of the Devils is now reportedly aiming for a 5-year extension with New Jersey. This would also align with his free agency with his brother Jack, who was signed through the 2030-31 season by both Hughes brothers aligning their contracts. The duo and brothers could potentially negotiate as a package deal in the future. New Jersey, however, would prefer either a shorter bridge deal, or a max term 8-year contract to keep him in the fold for as long as possible. The negotiation reveals the intricate dynamics of professional sports families. So, Jen, the Hughes brothers dynamic is a powerful one. How much of a factor do you believe, though, that family ties play in contractual negotiations? And is it a smart move for Luke to try to align his deal with his brothers? If this was the case, I think we'd have Brady and Matthew Tkachuk on the same roster. I don't think it works that way, sadly.
I'm a little biased here again. Again, it's not my team, but do you really think Jack Hughes had no impact on getting Luke to the fucking Devils during that?
Oh, you and I know that. Absolutely.
That reaction of Jack during that. Did you see the video of it when he got?
Yes.
Bullshit. That was all. They knew that was coming. That's why they celebrated so hard, like they won the Stanley Cup.
Excellent.
Because literally, you think Jack didn't have a part in that? You're full of shit if you don't buy that story. Again, even Quinn talked about possibly going over at some point if his contract runs out and he doesn't want to resign, going to the Devils to be with his brothers.
Good grief.
You think Jack's not putting bugs in their ear for the management of that team because he's making so much damn money?
Yeah, he is.
You don't know that's a part of that. You think some of these big name players are told to say certain things during interviews? Yeah, they are. They may not always say it correctly, but they. I don't know if there's money under the table or something. I don't want to go there, but if you really think Jack had no part in that, again, get a grip on reality, please.
Can I say that I think, Jim, we probably both agree if Jack Hughes doesn't Wile E. Coyote into the boards and hurt his shoulder, they probably make the playoffs last year?
Absolutely. I mean, he's one of their biggest name players, and he's literally the leader and the captain of that team. And you know what? At the end of the day, his brother, Luke, while he's underrated still, because again, he's still, in my eyes, he's absolutely still a rookie.
Agreed.
I think Jack literally is the poster child of that team for a very good reason, because everyone looks to him. Everyone looks to him to lead on the ice, to make plays, to make the clean passes, to put the puck in the right position for everybody else to clean up the job. But at the end of the day, without him, it's almost like, again, like the Rangers, like looking to one player to lead you to a victory. That's not always how reality works. Everybody has to buy in. I don't think the Devils were buying into their system. It's that simple, because you can't just rely on Jack the whole time. You can't, because again,
you can't. Family connections probably, I think, Jen, play more here than maybe other brothers who have played together. Take, for example, the son, Henrik and Daniel Sedin in Vancouver. They were drafted by the same team. This was not a case of one of them went there and then, they pulled, some black artist, tomfoolery to get them together. The Ducks signed Scott when he was a free agent, or signed Scott Niedermayer when he was a free agent to join Rob Niedermayer in Anaheim when they won the Cup in 06-07. This is probably a different dynamic, though, because I think, Jen, this is easily a bargaining chip. I think that, who's not to say, though, like you said, if Jack leaves New Jersey, why would Luke want to stay in New Jersey? Why would he not follow his brother somewhere else, as you said?
Again, I really think, and I will say this till I'm blue in the face, because I've said it before to Devils fan, and I'm gladly will say it now. I said it to my friend Kevin time and time again, because he owns a bar in the city, and he's big Devils fan, born and raised near New Jersey, so it makes sense he's a Devils fan. But anyway, again, if you really watch the draft night video of when Luke got picked by the Devils, and the way Jack immediately had the hat ready and had everything in his hand already, and there was a whole camera crew there, and the whole family. Really, do you think the NHL didn't set that up? That's so shit. We all knew that was happening. It's not shocking. The fans acted surprised. That's full of fucking shit. Like, let's be honest here. We all knew that was happening because they wouldn't have had a camera crew out there had they thought it was not happening. They wouldn't have gone to all that length to send a whole camera crew out to interview them, to have all three brothers together for an interview at in their own home. You really think that would have been possible if the NHL didn't already know this was going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? But we'll see how that plays out, though, with Jack, or Luke Hughes, I should say, out in New Jersey. Jen, after undergoing wrist surgery following this past Cup final, Oilers forward Zach Hyman has said he is unsure if he'll be ready for the upcoming season to start. Zach has been rehabbing all summer and was at Team Canada's orientation for the upcoming Olympics, but his availability for the season opener remains a question mark for Edmonton, but also the injury is significant for the team as he is a key part of their top six forward group as well. And I believe we did hear a report that he's going to be out come the opening of the season. So, Jen, with the Oilers coming off a long playoff run again, Hyman's injury is a concern. How does the absence of him potentially affect the Oilers' top six forward group at the start of the season, and who will have to step up to fill that role in your mind?
Yeah. Again, this Oilers team, as much as we bagged on them last season for losing to the Panthers in pretty awful fashion, obviously they got pretty much rolled the entire time. There was no momentum. There was no anything. Again, Connor McDavid was not a factor. I've said it to you 100 times. Zach Hyman is ridiculously underrated alongside Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I think the two of them are, the two bigger names that I see. Well, yes, again, the big name on that team is McDavid and Draisaitl. I get that. Like, let's look past that for a moment, shall we? There's so many big names on this team. Zach Hyman has been an absolute solid unit for them.
Yes.
He's underrated. He doesn't get into trouble. He stays out of the spotlight. He doesn't warrant the attention because, again, he wants to play the game of hockey the way it should be played. He doesn't want all the spotlight on him. He wants to play the game he's known to play. And I think he plays a pretty significant role considering he's top six. He's one of their bigger names. And he's been a solid guy for them. Anywhere you put him, he fits in. Losing a guy like that hurts. Like, if you're going to sit here and say, oh, the Oilers are going to have a really good start, bullshit. There's injuries plaguing every team in the NHL, whether you want to buy that or not. It's the truth of the matter. Look at Florida. They're going to lose Matthew till January. Do you know how bad that's going to hurt the Florida Panthers? Yeah, maybe they won't lose every game, but will it be a little bit more of a struggle than it has been? Absolutely, without fail. I think same for Zach Hyman here. Will they lose every game? No. Will they struggle to win games as easily as they did against certain teams? Yes. And I think Zach Hyman's such a big part of that. And when he gets back, I think the Oilers, if they can stay healthy, they can make a massive run. I don't think the window is completely closed yet. But I think they have to do it now. It's like pretty much now or never.
I'm looking over Puckpedia to see who would be that guy to step up. So Draisaitl, McDavid, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, those are the three that we know are safe. I mean, after that, you've got Trent Frederick, recently signed Andrew Mangiapane, 35-year-old center and 35-year-old center and left winger, and Adam Henrique, Matthias Janmark, Kasperi Kapanen, David Tomaseko, Vasily Podkolzin, Isaac Howard, Matthew Savoy, who's in Bakersfield, and then 30-year-old center and winger Curtis Lazar, who's all under contract. I don't know, Jen, who outside of Henry could probably step up. Maybe Frederick could because he's got that long-term extension now through 2029-30 per Puckpedia at $3.85 million for the next several years. I think Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a very good fit to maybe be that guy who steps up. He's the fourth highest paid player by salary. away from Draisaitl and McDavid, and then Hyman at 5.5 million. After that, though, Jen, outside of those four guys, no one really jumps out at me and scares me. I don't know who's going to take that next step, though, for the Oilers.
He's going to hurt the Oilers. The Oilers are going to have a huge setback if he's not in the starting lineup, and I don't believe he will be for Game 1. I don't believe he'll be there for the first month almost. I think he's going to take the time to fully heal himself before he allows himself to play with an injury. Let's all be honest here. You only play through a severe injury like that if you're deep in a playoff run.
Yeah, not in the regular season at this early stage of the year.
I don't think he's in any rush to come back. He's making a ton of money. And again, at the end of the day, let's be honest here, this team is not as scary on paper as they look. We talked about all four big names in a matter of seconds. Again, on paper, they look scary because you have Connor McDavid at the helm. But let's say, for example, I know people are going to come for me for doing this. But again, this is just a general statement. I'm not saying this is happening. Don't take my word. I don't work for the NHL. I'm a fan. That's it. So this is my personal opinion. Let's say you were out Connor McDavid and you were out Draisaitl. What are you doing? Nothing. You're not doing anything. So those two guys are your pretty much head of your ship, and if you lose them, you're screwed. So you know what? At the end of the day, I think the Oilers will be okay because they have those two guys, but I think it's going to be hard to fill Zach Hyman's spot because Zach Hyman has been an absolute solid unit for them and an absolute underrated workhorse for the Oilers organization. But regardless, this hurts. This hurts the Oilers whether they want to admit it or not.
Yeah, it hurts in a way because, I mean, outside of those four forwards, no one really jumps out. Now, defensively, you've got Evan Bouchard. That's one thing. But at the end of the day, though, again, that's a defenseman. He's not going to be really scoring a lot. I mean, he's a power play, definitely has a power play shot, though. I mean, I got to see him play in Bakersfield, and my goodness, that puck just jumps off his stick. But we'll see, though, how Edmonton can regroup without having Zach Hyman in the lineup after having offseason wrist surgery. Jen, at the end of the month, literally just yesterday, the San Jose Sharks and their affiliate, the San Jose Barracuda, partook in the annual Silicon Valley Pride Parade. If this is not a one-off event, the Sharks and CUDA have had a long history of supporting the LGBTQ plus community, including the Sharks Foundation, which provided a $30,000 grant to the San Jose Earthquakes LGBTQ plus ice hockey club back in June. The Sharks' consistent presence at the Pride event and their charitable causes and efforts demonstrate a clear commitment to fostering a welcoming and inclusive environment for everyone in the hockey community. As here is the Barracuda being at the event just a day ago in San Jose. Jim, we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier on in the show. But Jen, how important, though, from your perspective, as everyone should know and hopefully does know, how important is it, though, for the league and for pro sports in general to have a visible presence at an event like Pride? What does it also mean, though, for the growth of the game to see teams actively engaging with diverse communities like this?
What's there not to like about it? And you know what? I'm about to piss a whole lot of people off, and I really don't give two motherfucking asses. There's a pride flag for you people. What are you going to do, shoot me? Come on. Let's be real here. It's 2025. We're not living in the 1950s anymore, people, or the 1920s, as some of you, I think, are stuck in. Again, Callan, you and I and Nick Morganson, who was just on with us a few minutes ago, we talked about this off camera with you and your friends. Mm-hmm. About how there was a certain situation that they didn't like, so they didn't want to go to the game, and you went by yourself because of a certain presence at the game, even though it wasn't even a full factor in the game. Again, same thing I said with the theme. We can go back to the theme jerseys conversation, you and I.
Yes.
Because again, they wear them during warm-ups. They're allowed to have the rainbow stick tape, but during the games, they're not allowed to wear any of the jerseys. Why? Because you're worried about offending someone? Oh, boo-hoo, cry me a goddamn freaking river, please. Seriously, I don't want to hear it. I'm so tired of this conversation. It's 2025, folks. Almost 2026. Can we wake the fuck up now and actually work together as a society instead of fighting against people loving who they love? Because guess what? If it's not you, mind your goddamn business. It doesn't affect you. But let people love who they love. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect you or what you do every day. The world is changing, folks. We're not in the 1920s where women have to stay home and not work and take care of the children, have dinner ready for their husbands when they come in from work. fuck that. Seriously, like I hate using that. I hate dropping f-bombs on here, but this is one of those situations where I will die on this hill. Get over it, folks. It's 2025. Everyone has different opinions. I don't care if you get offended. Cry me a goddamn river.
Yeah, I mean, no, this is important that these teams are active participants in the community. That includes events like this, whether it's Pride, whether it's amplifying Black voices, as I do at my university during February, during Black History Month. At the end of the day, Jen, sports is a uniting factor, whether we like it or not. And that includes that you have to cater to everybody out there, regardless of where people stand over the course of a certain away from the sports world. I, for one, choose to stick to sports because it brings the community together. And as a lot of people know, with me working in sports, you work with people from different backgrounds and thoughts and ethnicities and all of that sort of stuff. And especially, Jen, though, in Northern California, where it's always been a big talking point and big thing, that the Sharks have always, I think they've gone there almost every year, if not for their entire club history, that they've been doing that. And the Gulls partake in the San Diego Pride Parade in July every summer. And there's other things that go on as well, though, too, with it. But at the end of the day, though, pro sports teams being active, visible members of the community at a event like this, means everything. And when they do, host a night like it, I hope people would learn that it's not always about that. That the game is center stage. There just happens to be a little pixie dust being sprinkled on from for a certain thing. Hispanic Heritage Night, Pride Night, whatever it might be, that's the backdrop. It's in the background of the game. Will they have in-game elements where they, recognize a Pride or LGBTQ plus help center or a organization like that? Yes. But it's for like maybe a couple minutes and doesn't overshadow the game. I get that people have their thoughts on it. At the end of the day, we can agree to disagree about this sort of stuff, maybe or maybe not. But more importantly, from the franchise perspective, though, you need to be active in the community and engaged in the community in one way, shape, form, or size. And I'm proud that my organizations take part in these events every year, whether it's in San Diego or in Orange County, and that the Sharks have done this for a long time. And more importantly, it helps grow the game in some way, shape, form, or size, believe it or not, into communities that probably don't feel that they can represent themselves in a proper way without, retribution of some kind.
Yeah, absolutely. This was honestly really cool to see. Again, being active members in the community as a athlete, as somebody who works, not necessarily works for the city, but works for.
You represent the city. You play for the city.
Thank you. That's the words I was trying to find. Thank you. But yes, obviously every team does things a little differently. Again, I wish baseball would take more of a stance on this because there's certain players who will not be named. They know who they are. Get with the times, old men. I don't care what your contract says. I could care fucking less. Deal with it. Don't deal with it, but don't be a crybaby and ruin it for your whole team because you're a whiny little you-know-what.
Yeah, and especially when you live in a market like San Diego, where the Pride event is like one of the biggest now in all of the country, away from San Francisco, and everyone flocks here for that weekend in July. I've not partaken in it, but my organizations have, though, and everyone gets so hyped to see the mascot and all of our fans go there and walk the parade route. So good on the Sharks, though. I think they've been doing it ever since they became a franchise. And away from San Diego, but like Bay Area Pride is another huge thing, though, out here on the West Coast. So good on them for doing so. Jen, growing the game, though, let's talk about some global domination, shall we? The USA women's sled hockey team had a dominant performance at the 2025 World Para Ice Hockey Women's World Championship in Slovakia this past week. They won the gold medal, Jen, and I kid you not, they outscored their opposition 35-1 over the course of the tournament. They end up winning the gold medal with a 7-1 drubbing of Canada after also pitching 4 straight shutouts of 8-0, 10-0, 10-0, 8-0, and then 7-1. The victory is a huge step forward for the sport and showcasing the talent, elite talent, and dedication of these athletes who, Jen, are playing with missing limbs or they're deaf. They may be partially blind. But Jen, this is a very incredible story, though, of dominance and perseverance. Jen, what is the success, though, of a team like the by the women's para sled team mean, though, for the growth of not just Paralympic hockey coming up in next year, but women's hockey, though, too, as a whole? I happen to know one of the players on the national team. Her story is incredible. She lost both of her legs at a very young age, and she's taken to competitive cycling and to like sitting volleyball, for example, but also she's made her name in sled hockey. So I see her every so often, and I'm just so damn proud of what she's done with Team USA and here locally in San Diego. But Jen, how about that though? 35-1 over the course of 4 games and taking home gold in Slovakia for the women's sled national team. Congratulations! What a week!
Yeah, seriously. First off, huge congratulations to every female involved in that. What a way to show up for not only the power world and for the world of disabilities as a whole, but for young women, to empower young women to join the sport of maybe not para hockey. I mean, yes, in a certain way, yes. Let's not get that mistaken. I'm just saying in a more general real feel. Again, I said almost a similar thing for the PWHL when we did the whole Barbie x Tim Hortons x PWHL collaboration story, which, by the way, got huge views on social media. So that should say everything right there. But let's be honest here. This is another way to get young women involved in sports in every shape and form, not only when you have 2 healthy legs and can play the game the normal way. But, again, that sounds terrible, but that's not what I'm trying to say. It doesn't matter how you play the game of sports. You're getting women involved in a sport that for many, many decades and centuries almost was a male-dominated sport. Same with baseball. Again, we saw Jen Powell, our lovely Sarah Barber, who of Sarah Says So, did an amazing job covering this. So well done to her. Again, please go watch her shows. I believe it's Fridays at noon.
Yes.
Or something like that. Please go watch her show. She covers all things women's sports in every league. PWHL, the SWL, is that it? WSL, is that?
NWSL.
NWSL, the W, all those things. She does a phenomenal job. But I love this. This is such an empowering. Not only is it cool for me hearing this, but again, we're gonna have a guest on. Again, I'll tease this because again, I'm allowed to. I'm the one doing all the work, so I get the pride of it. Jackie Redmond might be coming on our show. Again, another female who's dominated the sports world in a business that's very much male heavy. Again, I said the same thing about when I told my whole story on my YouTube channel. I did it here on Puck Talk. I did it where I said about being one of 3 women here at Puck Talk. Not all, like at ETB, not at all time, but right now. Being in a very male-dominated business is tough, but females like that from the Paralympics, from the PWHL, from the WNBA, even they're breaking barriers, whether we want to admit that or not. I mean, that's up to that goes by interpretation, really, but it's an amazing thing. It's showing women that no matter what, if you're disabled, whether you're able-bodied, does not matter. You can do what you want to do and live your dream, whether that be a hockey player or getting into the media side of things or whatever it might be. This is teaching young women at a very young age that they can live their dream, and the dream is very much possible. So a huge shout out to all these wonderful women, and congratulations to Team USA on their very, very, very dominant weekend.
35 goals scored, 1 goal allowed to win the gold in Slovakia. Also, congratulations to Kelsey DeClaudio, who was the MVP. She had 4 goals, by the way, in the gold medal win over Canada. I actually got up to watch the game on Sunday. So proud of Lyra Doderline, who is from San Diego. She was actually one of the Ducks' 21st Ducks a couple years ago. Her and I have known each other for quite a while. I actually got to watch her local San Diego team play at the Sports Arena this past season. They played against the Kings, I believe, the LA Kings sled team. And I'll tell you what, Jen, if you've never seen sled hockey, go and watch. They play at a just different road rage style level.
I love that.
It is such a fast paced game, and they are so like artistic with what they can do. Like you see more Michigan goals in sled than you do like in the NHL or anywhere else. And I mean, it's just phenomenal watching them play. And I would love to be able to watch more if I could, whenever that I ever get time. Because I mean, sled hockey really, I think, needs a bit more love. And I hope that once the Olympics do roll around, we can hopefully cover Team USA, both men's and women's, hockey in the Winter Games, and hopefully men's and women's in the Paralympics too in Italy coming up in a couple of months.
Absolutely. All right, Kellen, as we are winding down this very long episode to over almost 2.5 hours now. First off, what a show we had. So many
Unreal.
moving parts, so many moving things. Again, we'll tease it. We did it at the top of the show. We'll do it at the bottom of the show now that we are getting ready to sign off. Fantasy Draft is coming, hosted by yours truly. I'm taking center stage for a change. Kellen gets to do enough on this show. You know, it's my turn to have a little fun.
It is.
I'm the one who came up with this idea, so I get to take a little bit of pride in that as well. Date is still TBD as we are working with guests to try to work around everyone's schedule. Again, it will take a spot of Puck Talk, which will start at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Again, we don't know what date yet. We are still very actively working to make that happen. I'm blanking. Oh, I have to do a read quickly. 1 second here. Totally spaced out on that. Let me grab that.
It's Monday. Don't worry.
Unnecessary Wagers is returning tomorrow, September 2nd at 4 p.m. Eastern time, I believe. If I'm reading that correctly, someone will correct me. Got a strong feeling about tonight's game. We're talking sports gambling, so you know that knowledge is money. Tune into Unnecessary Wagers on Empty the Bench. We break down the lines, analyze the matchups, and give you the insight that you need to bet smarter. We're not just giving picks, we're giving you the confidence to get that win. Unnecessary Wagers I believe it's Tuesday now at 4 p.m. Eastern, and then we'll eventually move to Fridays, I believe, at 6 p.m. here on Playback. So look out for that starting again tomorrow.
Unnecessary Wagers is back. NFL is almost back on Thursday already. College football is in full swing now. I guess we also teased, though, Nick Morganson and myself are back on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern. That's going to be another animal of a show. We have Christine Brennan, WNBA beat writer for USA Today, joining us at 7 o'clock local time out here on the West Coast. And then we also have Casey Stern joining us at about half an hour after Christine joins us to talk all things baseball and sports radio. Then, of course, we'll have our regular topics as well once we get rolling with that. And more importantly, Jen and I are back next Monday on September the 8th, back here at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, to almost in a way begin to lift the curtain on the preseason, as the following weekend will mark, Jen, the start of some prospect tournaments, including one out here in Southern California.
I believe there's one on September 12th and September 13th. Rangers and Flyers, I believe, prospect game is happening that week. So we will try to get some coverage of that. I don't know what we're going to be allowed here on Playback. But again, follow our social media. We can make clips on there talking about it. So follow us, Puck Talk ETB, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Please, 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 please. I'm working very hard behind the scenes. We have just a lot of guests. So again, if you want to see all things updated with guests, prospect tournaments, fantasy hockey, which we'll do on here. But again, we'll update a lot on our social media as well because there's so many moving parts to that. Puck Talk ETB on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter is a place to find us. For all that
and don't worry, yours truly is in charge of the graphics department for the Fantasy Hockey League for our standings, the weekly matchups that we'll be sharing too over the course of the week. We'll put those out probably on Sunday once all the results go final. We'll also have, the upcoming week. Again, we're playing via ESPN.com and playing categories this year for our scoring system. So we'll have all of that. All of that is going to be coming your way in the coming weeks as soon as we get one more member to join our damn league on ESPN.com. We're at 9. We need one more so we can schedule the draft. As Jen said, though, the draft will take place live here on Playback, much like the ATB Network's fantasy football draft was streamed live. Our draft will also be streamed live as well here on Playback. Again, Press Row is back on Wednesday, Unnecessary Wagers tomorrow, and then we'll have plenty more content down the pipeline as well for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and of course with WWE Reaction with Christy on Sunday as well.
Just one more note. This week, clips will be a little bit late. I am going back to my school job starting tomorrow morning, so I am running around. I'm actually about to go get ready and pull out my outfit and get my board set up and my badge set in the building. So school is back in session. So I again apologize if clips are a little late this week. Again, it's been a little chaotic behind the scenes. I apologize. So no, dear God, Nick, no, shush. All right, we're gonna end the show before things get out of hand.
Jen, good luck with the school year. Please give your kids a big hug for me, please, when you see them tomorrow.
Yes, will do. Parents, again, be nice to your children. They're going back to school. Obviously, new schools, new people. It's going to be quite stressful the first few days. Parents, you got this. If you have little ones going into school for the first time, you got this. It's going to be hard, but we have your kids in their best interest in our hearts, and we're going to give them a great school year.
Yes, they will, folks. But please trust them; they'll be fine. With that, though, folks, in mind, until next Monday, for Jen Kate and our special guest Nick Morgeson, Cal McClurg saying good day / good night from Southern California. Puck Talk is back for episode 15.
15. Jesus Christ.
Episode 15 next week, 6 p.m. Pacific, 3 o'clock, or 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, back here on ETB. Brought to you by Playback. Again, folks, hit that subscribe button, too, over at youtube.com/ETB Network. And more importantly, if you did drop YouTube comments, we will use those for our mailbag as the year does go on. So if you are watching live on YouTube, you can drop comments there, and we'll use that for a mailbag for a social media segment later time and date. Till then, folks, have a great day / great night. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.